Coach Bonner, I think I see you there. Unmute yourself, please. Maybe if I request it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. We'll
Good
give it
deal.
a few more minutes with media to hop on here.
Okay.
But thank you for joining us today.
No problem. Appreciate you having me. I apologize. I'm sitting in my vehicle right now. I had to run out of work to get to my cell phone.
Easiest place, it's all good. Whatever works for you.
Yeah, all good.
Interviews always happen in the most interesting places.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right, we'll go ahead and kind of get things rolling. We want to welcome everybody to the 2025 UK Healthcare Boys Sweet 16 Media for Coaches. We've got Region 16, Ashland Blazer Tomcats coach Ryan Bonner. You guys are 23-7 this season. You'll be playing Region 1, Callaway County, Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Coach, just kind of give us a starting information about your team this year, and then we'll open it up to the media.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we're sitting at 23-7 right now, and really feel like we're starting to click and play our best basketball at the right time. I credit a lot of that to our strength of schedule. We've really tried to throw our guys to the wolves and really try to face as much adversity as possible throughout the course of the regular season to prepare us for this moment. We've had great senior leadership behind our Mr. Basketball finalist. It was a candidate this year in Xavier Carter. It's been phenomenal for us all year long. So just very excited, very grateful to be here and to be representing the 16th region again.
Well, and Coach, you guys kind of had a rocky start. You were 3-5 out of the gate, so you've only lost 2 games since your early portion of the season. Kind of what were you going through there in those early games?
Well, we were just playing really really good teams, and on top of that, we had some injuries that we were battling and some personnel issues that we were trying to navigate. Had new some new kids move in. Prior to the season. So just trying to figure out our roster while navigating an extremely tough schedule at that point. We opened up at Great Crossing, who's the Region 11 champion. Then we went to Hazard, who was arguably the best team down 14th, who ended up getting upset by Breathitt County. So we were navigating a storm, and you have to do that throughout the course of a basketball season. I've always said, if you're not in a storm, you're on your way to one, and it's all about how you kind of navigate that defines you as a team.
And you talked a little bit about Carter, but talk about Caleb Clark and Drew Smith and kind of what they mean to your program.
Yeah, CC is your Caleb Clark. We call him CC. He's been an absolute warrior for us this year, and really been a Swiss Army knife in terms of what we need him to do for us night to night. Averaging 12 points, almost 60% from the field. One of our leading rebounders, and a guy that we kind of lean on to be our toughness guy. The dive on the floor guy, the blood on the jersey guy. He does all the dirty work for us and does it willingly. And you have to have those kind of components on a winning basketball team. And Drew Smith is a guy who came in and made an immediate impact with his ability to stretch the floor and hit the three. And can also run offense for us at times. Just been a really good on-ball defender. So everybody on our roster has found ways to contribute in their own unique ways.
Larry Vaught has a question.
Yeah, Coach. Actually, I got two, if you could. I know it's been a long time since you all played Great Crossing, but you just kind of share with me your memories of Malachi Marino and what having a guy like that, how big a plus it is going into the state tournament. And then also for those of us who hadn't seen Xander a lot since last season, just kind of talk about maybe in what ways you think he's even better than he has been. And do you know exactly how many points he has now?
I do know. I don't know the exact number, but I do know he eclipsed the 3,000 mark during the district tournament, I believe. So he is over the 3,000 mark, and he's Ashland's all-time leader. But to answer your first question, say this: Malachi Moreno is pretty handy to have. Very talented, exceptional length, plays the game the right way, and is just a winner. And I wanted to, when I built the schedule this year, I wanted to do a couple of things. I wanted to, first and foremost, I wanted to challenge our guys. And number two, I wanted to provide these guys with memories that'll last a lifetime. And those guys will be talking about that Great Crossing game for the rest of their lives. We took them into overtime, had a chance, but ultimately came up short. But that's a game those guys will remember forever. I'll remember it. So, part of that and the way we schedule is trying to create life-lasting memories. So hopefully we've achieved that. And then, Xander, for those of you who haven't seen him since last year, the first thing that's going to pop when you see him is his physical presence, how he's developed his body from last year to now. Physically, he's over 200 pounds, lean, muscle. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is how much more consistently he's making the 3-point shot. At the end of last season, he was 35.2% from three, and now he's shooting 43%. So that's a pretty humongous difference. But I'll say this to finish off the question. As much as Xander brings to the table for us and the things that he does for us on the court, his contributions are.
Thank you.
And Coach,
You're
you
welcome.
talked about playing Great Crossing. Talk about you played 4 teams total in the tournament thus far, and that's Great Crossings. You also beat Danville Christian. You played Bowling Green with a loss, and then you beat Lawrence County. Talk a little bit about that.
We've kind of played teams all across the state, and like I said, really tried to find out throughout the course of the regular season what we're not doing well, what we need to do better to get to this point. And you do that by putting adversity in front of your team. And, we try not to run from that and shy away from that. You'd mentioned Lawrence County, really, really good team. And you talk about clicking and gelling at the right time. They played like they were on fire in the 15th region tournament. So that's a team that could potentially be dangerous because of their offensive firepower and the way they shoot the basketball. Coach Sherrill at Bowling Green, he has been one of the most consistent coaches in the state over the last I don't know how many years. That's what we want, and I think you had mentioned it. I think 4 of our regular season opponents at this point are in the Sweet 16, and that's no surprise.
And the last time you played Callaway was in 2022. So obviously there's going to be a lot of different components on both teams. But what do you know about them?
Very well coached, and we actually have a pretty good relationship with Coach Cleaver down there. And they were able to come to the AIT, like you said, in 2022, and still have a lot of that core. And they're kind of led by their 2 elite guards, and Eli Finley and Jonah Butler. Both very, very, very talented as anybody that we've played this year. And both of those 2 are averaging over 20 a game. And then he's got Coach Cleaver's got pieces around him that can consistently shoot the 3. So they're going to be tough to defend. Their point guard Eli Finley is very, very good in transition and getting rim to rim and just really explosive. And as a fan of basketball, when you watch them on film, they're fun to watch. They're very exciting. and play a really neat brand of basketball. And you can tell that their team is very connected right now, which is probably one of the most important things as you head into the state tournament.
John Wright has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach. This is John Wright from down the Murray newspaper. I've seen that your program has been to Rupp many, many times here in the last several years. How important is that experience to this team?
It's huge. Veteran leadership and having guys that have been in that moment is very important. And we have several that have been. Xander has been to the state tournament every year that he's been at Ashland. So being able to lean on that experience and that leadership is big because, I'm not one of those guys that, it's not just another game. You can't say that. It's because it's really not. It's a huge moment, arguably one of the biggest stages in all of high school sports, maybe nationwide. That's probably biased. I don't know enough to probably say that, but it's a huge stage and a huge setting and an incredible atmosphere. So we're very fortunate that we've been able to string together a run now to where we've got guys that know what it looks like, knows what it smells like, knows what it sounds, all those things. So when they step onto the floor Wednesday night, it's not so foreign to them.
How important is it to have a Wednesday game?
I'm excited about the Wednesday late night session because in my experience, that's normally the best crowd. I think. Would you agree? It's
All
normally
crowds
the
are
best
pretty
crowd.
good,
So,
yeah.
and I know our guys are going to appreciate that. And if we're fortunate enough to get out of that first round, it'll be awesome having that day gap to kind of regather and prepare for the next opponent. But I don't look too deep into that stuff. I'm just grateful to be there. That's kind of has always been my outlook on it, and we're just going to make the most of it.
Awesome. Any other questions for Coach? All right, Coach Bonner, we look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Next up, we have Region 15, Lawrence County Bulldogs, Coach Chandler Thompson with us. 23-10 this season. You'll be playing Region 10, Montgomery County, Thursday at 6 p.m., one of the last teams to punch their ticket to the Sweet 16. So just talk a little bit about your team this year, Coach.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's been a fun ride for sure. We're thankful to be in the position that we're in and getting the opportunity to extend our season and play some more games. Just like any team, basketball season's a long season. We've battled adversities just like everyone else. But I think the way that we responded, our kids responded to adversities and the ups and downs of the seasons, I feel like that's why we're here today. They've always been positive. They've continued to work. We went through a gauntlet, I feel like, to win the 15th region. We went through some pretty good teams. Feel like we've been playing really well throughout the postseason. Like you mentioned, there's several teams that have went on a break. I know Coach Bonner there at Ashland's going through the same thing. So it'll be interesting to see if we can pick up where we left off coming out of the region tournament, having that delay there.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that with, this year being unique and, most of you guys have had to deal with this or try to figure it out. But such a long layoff between the region final and your first game at state.
Yeah, it is. But it's everyone else that's dealing with it too. It's not like it's just us. So we keep telling our kids that, and honestly, it's given us a chance to, have a few days rest there early a couple weeks ago, and then get back on the grind. And we live in a community. I'm sure that everyone will say this, but I'm obviously biased to Lawrence County and the community here. These people have really rallied around this team and built them up and really made them feel special. So I'm thankful that. One thing I'm thankful for in the delay is it has allowed our kids the opportunity to really soak this in and see how special it is. And then in practice, we've just been preaching to them they know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to beat good teams, or obviously we wouldn't be here. And it's just important to remember that and pick up where we left off.
And Larry Vaught has a question for you.
Hey, Coach, when you mentioned about crowd support that you have and everything, I'm hearing that everybody in Montgomery County is maybe coming to the session where they play against you all. So if there is just a humongous crowd, how do you think your guys react to that? Is that a blessing, a curse, or no big deal?
A blessing for sure. I feel like our boys have fed off of good crowds. Not sure. I'm sure you're aware, but typically in the past, our 15th region tournament has been held at the Expo Center in Pikeville, and given some situations and logistics from the flooding that occurred down that way a month or so ago, some things changed, and our region tournament was played at Pike Central High School. So that crowd that once went into the expo, you get them all into a high school gym, and it was a awesome atmosphere. And I felt like that our boys played well in that. So that obviously we're talking about way different dynamics here comparing Rep Arena to Pike Central, but I'm just saying the atmosphere in general. I felt like our boys really fed off of that, and we're certainly looking forward to the opportunity of playing in Rep, and I do. I hope that it's the best crowd of all the sessions.
Mackenzie Freeman has a question.
Yeah, Coach, I know the last time we spoke, it was the day after you found out you guys were playing Montgomery County. So now that you've had a couple more days to scout, how do you feel your team matches up against Montgomery?
They're really good. They present some issues. They've got good size. They're long and athletic all across the floor. And it's no secret we play 5 guards, and we're not oversized by any means. We're smaller guards. We play hard and scrappy. So that'll be an issue there. We've just really tried to hound our kids that rebounding is huge. I think I told you last time rebounding was a weakness of ours throughout the course of the regular season, but we flipped the switch and we were able to rebound the ball really well in the postseason. So it's no different there. They're very good. They're very well coached, and we got to do all those little things that we need to do in order to move forward.
Coach, you kind of want to maybe one of the younger groups coming in. You rely heavily, on Harrison Woods, who are both juniors. They score about 19 points a game. And then you got sophomores, Perry and Johnson. Perry averages almost 16 points a game, and Johnson almost 11. Talk about that dynamic that you have.
Just all those kids you mentioned, they're awesome kids. Obviously, we don't have a senior in our starting lineup, and over the course of the last couple of weeks, I've talked to some people, and they say that we may have done this thing a year too early, but I don't think it's ever too early to go to Rep Arena. We're super excited, and that's just a testament to our kids. And you mentioned those 4, but even deeper than that, every one of these kids have really bought into winning. They bought into each other, and that's why we're here today. So they may have some youth, but they've played a lot of basketball. They're really good players, even better kids, and there's no team, whether senior led or underclass led, that I would rather be going to play at Rep Arena with.
And Coach, the last time it looks like that you played Montgomery County was in 2015. So obviously drastically different teams, but what do you take away from anything or everything on what you know about Montgomery County? Coach, you may have frozen. I may have lost you. Oh.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to, and they're really good. They're really good. It's good. Fonz is good. They shot the ball really well in the 10th region final. And when they're shooting the ball that well and spreading you out, they're very, very hard to guard, because they can also score in the post too. They've got enough length and size in there that they can go one-on-one in there. They can score off of offensive putbacks. So, that we've definitely have our hands full going into this game. But all the 16 teams, no matter who you're playing, you're going to have your hands full, and that's just the name of the game at this point. But again, they're very well coached. They're very disciplined. Hopefully we can do the things that we need to do to secure a win.
And on the flip side of what we were kind of talking with Coach Bonner, you have one of the last games of the first round matchups. So what do you take on, getting an extra day to prepare, but also then, 3 straight days?
Yeah, it's It's tough. Whoever wins this thing is they got to play. There's not a whole lot of time to think about rest or anything like that. So again, it goes back to like Coach Bonner said. We're extremely grateful and fortunate to be in this position. And if we were playing Thursday night at midnight, we would roll the dice and take our chances for sure. But yeah, I think that we're going to come down and hopefully catch a game there on Wednesday, and then get a practice in Wednesday evening, and hopefully being there the day before and seeing a game will allow our kids the opportunity to kind of see what they're up against as far as going into Rupp Arena and the bright lights and things like that. So I am thankful for that we have a day there that we can go in and just catch another game, and then get an opportunity to go practice and sleep on it, and then head into Rupp to play on Thursday.
Coach, we talked about the four that are kind of leading you, but talk about a player that could be a difference maker that nobody expects.
Yeah, so Luke Featheroff, he has started for us all year, and honestly, he just does a lot of things for our team that don't get recognized in the stat line very often. He's 6 foot 6'1", and honestly, he's had the most difficult defensive task all year long because we stick him in there and let him guard the big guy in the post. That's not who he is, but he has embraced it, and he's done an awesome job with it. He's just really done a really good job guarding in the post and being able to box out. And if he don't get the rebound, it opens up a lane for someone else. And those are just things that typically go unnoticed, other than to the general fan. But on our team, we're very thankful for him. And then Caden Muncie has came in as sixth man, first guy off the bench, and he's just given us valuable minutes, really all throughout the year, but in particular here in the postseason. So, those guys are very important. They may not get talked about as much. And then every guy on down our bench, like I mentioned earlier, those guys don't really care who's playing and who's getting the glory. They just want to win. And honestly, that's the makeup of a special team, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to be their coach.
We got any further questions for Coach? All right. Well, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena, Coach.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Up next with us, we have Region 14, Breathitt County Bobcats, Coach Jeff Honeycutt. The Bobcats are 24-8 this season. They'll be playing Region 13, North Laurel, Thursday at 11 a.m. Coach, can you give us kind of an opening statement about your team this year?
Persistent and gritty. We fought through injuries all year long and some sickness, and got healthy at the right time. So just persistence.
And is it a benefit to play North Laurel, region right there beside you?
Maybe with familiarity would be, but once you get to that point, all the teams in the state tournament are really good, and we've got our work cut out for us. So I hope it's a good matchup that we're going to come and compete and hopefully have opportunity to win.
All right, I think we have a question from Mackenzie Freeman.
Yes, sorry, my computer was lagging a little bit. As far as your team goes, obviously North Laurel is probably going to plan on, being on Austin Sperry. So what are you kind of telling your guys around Austin Sperry going into this game?
Just be ready. We've done that all year. Everybody, it's nothing new that we won't see. Teams have come out and, focus on Austin. He gets double team, triple team at times, and just be ready for the moment to either knock a shot down or get a big rebound or anything like that. We've lived it for 32 games, and it'll be something that we'll be prepared for. Teams have played a triangle and 2. Teams have played a box and 1. So the familiarity of that and during the season will help us be ready for that.
Larry Vaught with a question.
Hey, Jeff, a little bit different question because I know they're not from your region, but the success the last 2 years that Reed Shepherd and now Trent Noah have gone on and had at the University of Kentucky, does that impact kids in your region and help basketball in your region, do you think, when they see those guys having the success they've had?
Oh yes, back here in the mountains, basketball's king, and it just adds to the history of sports here in the mountains. I've been lucky enough to watch it. With Richie Farmer coming out of the mountains, Pelfrey, the unforgettables there. Basketball is really big in this area, and when a mountain boy does good, they rally behind them, and it's just I can't describe the feeling that you get from your fan base. And everybody wants their team to win, but it seems like when the mountains, when you're cheering on, if you're from the mountains, then everybody's got that identity, and they'll be for that team. And I think that's the closeness of the communities here in our mountains that separates us from everyone else.
Thanks.
Coach, talk a little bit about the stretch, from February 7th to February 18th. You went 2-3, and kind of what you learned from your team and how that prepared you for the run that you're currently on.
Well, out of those 5 games, we could have easily went 5-0. We were in every game, had a lead in the late in the game, third or fourth quarter, and and that comes back to your opening question about persistence. And we didn't make the right decisions down the stretch, and we lost 3 of those games. That if we'd have changed just to play here or there, we'd been 5-0. But I think the guys was buying in to low turnovers, don't give up open threes, rebound the ball, and play together. And I think those 5 games really helped us get ready for our tournament run.
Can you pinpoint a point in the season where you knew you had a team that could make a run like this?
All A final. We played Hazard in All A final, and Hazard, Hazard's one of the best teams in the state of Kentucky. Led by one of the better coaches, that's ever done it, in Coach Al Holland. And we felt like that we had opportunity to win, and it kind of turned our season around. We were coming from Florida, which we won a tournament there, and it was one of those things that it just seems like us not winning that tournament kindly changed things and let us know that we still have one more opportunity to play in the state tournament, and things started clicking a little bit for us.
Mackenzie Freeman again.
Yeah, kind of going back a couple of weeks to your guys' win over Hazard and now playing North Laurel, that's been in this tournament 3 times in the last 4 years. You guys have kind of rose to the occasion and kind of gone in with, I felt like it was Hazard needed to take the region, but you guys came in there and won. Is there a chip on your shoulder going into this tournament as well?
Not really. Breathitt's been in the 14th region championship game 3 of the last 3 years, and they've come out on top 2 of the 3. They've been to the state tournament now. This is their 2nd trip in 3 years, and we've embraced that. And we still feel like, we actually talked about it today after practice. We're on spring break, so we just got out of practice, and we talked about not being what if. Prairie beat us last year, and we came out of it. What if this? What if that? And that's something that we wanted to do differently this year. We wanted to make sure that we've done everything in our power to win, and we did that, and that's what we're talking about now. We want to make sure that when the game's over Thursday, we don't have any what ifs, and we're going to do everything in our power and that we can to pull off upset. We've been most of the year. I like playing the role of the underdog. We've been very successful in that.
Coach, along with Sperry, talk about some of your other players that, people may not focus enough on.
You hear about Sperry, and then, the second probably most player that you hear about is Braxton Terry. He's an undersized big man. He's 6'2", but he plays like he's 6'6". He's just a bear around the goal. And then you got Kanan Gross, who's 6'6", who does an excellent job defensively for us. Peyton Collins, sophomore, knockdown shooter. He's improved his defense really good this year. He's got to get in the weight room over the summer. Then my son Joseph Honeycutt, he's one of the guys that usually draws the tough defensive assignment on the other team. Not another knockdown shooter. And then Aaron Staller coming off the bench. It's one of those things. I don't know if you remember Danny Manning and the Miracles back in I think '86. That's what we kind of coined the phrase "Sperry and the Miracles." And each guy's come up big for us at different points during the season. And it's funny that we discuss Austin so much because he's such a great player, but he elevates everybody around him to be better. And when he's doing that, we're fun to watch, and we have success. And a couple other guys, Brantley Campbell, another guy that comes off the bench that plays big minutes for us, defensive stopper. And Austin McGinnis, has been instrumental in our run toward the end. And, all the guys, I can't say enough about the other guys that come in and do scout team. It's a total team effort with this group. And we've had different people lead us in scoring. Austin's averaging about 23 a game, but there's been times that other guys have stepped up and scored over 20 each night. So, it's one of those deals that, if they just go out and scout Austin, we might sneak up on somebody.
Any other questions for Coach? We appreciate your time, Coach, and look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena.
Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Next with us is Region 13, North Laurel Jaguars, Coach Nate Valentine. The Jaguars are 22-10 this season. They are playing who we just spoke to, Region 14, Breathitt County, Thursday at 11 a.m. Coach, just kind of an opening statement about your team this year.
We're certainly excited to be back in the Sweet 16 again. It's our third trip in 4 years, and hoping to get the first win on the boys' side in the Sweet 16 in school history. So we're thrilled to be here. I think it's something that all these kids have dreamed about since they were little kids, and certainly something that I dream about as a coach. It's still still gives you chill bumps when you hear that Region 13 North Laurel going to the Sweet 16. It's still excited. We're excited to play. It's been a little bit of a layoff, but we're certainly excited to get back out and see what we can do.
Coach, talk a little bit about, you've seen Jefferson Town and beat them, and you played Callaway, lost to them. What does that do for you as far as, kind of helping your team feel ready and prepared for being in the field, and also kind of leaning on your experiences over the past couple of years, trying to calm nerves and just be ready to go?
Yeah, I think it's helped us to this point for sure, playing the schedule that we played. And, I think 7 of our losses, we were in the game and had a chance to win at the end, and just didn't come up with that winning play that we needed. And down the stretch, we figured out how to. Those out-of-region games were great, but I think our in-region games helped us a ton too, because we saw a lot of different defenses, a lot of different styles of play, and forced us to kind of adapt throughout the season. And we've gotten better. I think we were a little too one-dimensional early in the year, and we can get it from different spots now. We have different guys step up in the region pretty much every game. So certainly had a challenging road to get here and had to survive 2 overtimes. So, I think those losses aren't much fun to go through earlier in the year, but I think they definitely benefited us in the tournament.
Coach, you haven't played Breathitt since 2017, so not a team, you've played in recent history. but definitely somebody, your guys know and your guys are familiar with and a program they're familiar with. Is that a plus or a minus coming into the Sweet 16?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't share many common opponents, so I didn't get a chance to look at Breathitt much this year. But they've certainly got a really good team, and it's Austin Sperry leads them, but they've got other guys that can play as well. It's not just a one man show, and I don't know how much of the of an underdog they are. They've got a really good team, and they lost 4 times the hazard this year. They were injured, had some sickness, and I think in every one of their losses they were missing a guy. So. They're definitely a team that we have a ton of respect for, and you know, they can play in so many different ways and score in so many different ways. And Austin Sperry is one of the better guards I've seen this year, and super athletic and just an ultra competitor. But then they've got guys around him. They've got really good post play. They've got guys that can shoot it in. And they just they remind me a lot of a 13th region team. Some of the better teams that we played here locally as well. So. They're really really good, and like everybody says, when you get here, everybody's good.
Mackenzie Freeman with a question.
Yeah, Coach, I know when we spoke, when y'all won the region, you said you've got a community around you that trust you and that's been bought into this process. So how do you anticipate the crowd being for you guys? And, including it's a mountain matchup as well. So how are you expecting attendance to be?
I hope it'll be really good. I think it will. The spring break is it's on the front end of spring break for us, but I think everybody here at North Laurel is really excited about it, and kind of went through some struggles early on as the school split, and didn't have a ton of success. I was looking today through the program, and North Laurel I think is 0-3 in the state tournament, maybe one of the only teams without a win. So. That's really been our goal, is to get back to the state tournament and be the team that won the first game, and that's kind of where we've kept it in terms of looking ahead. But, the community here and all those people that endured the split between the two schools and, struggled through all that. I think all those players, coaches, fans, parents, I've heard from a lot of them, and I think they're very excited to see the Jags back in Rupp, and I think we'll be well supported from our community like we have since I've been here.
Larry Vaught with a question.
Hey, Nate, good to talk to you. Curious, does Reed have any connections with this team at all? And then the success that Reed and Trent Noah have had the last couple of years, what does that filter down to your program and other programs in the 13th region?
Yeah, to answer your first question, Reese Davidson is the brother of Ryan Davidson, who is a first cousin to Reed. So still in the family, and then Cole Jervis is also a cousin to them as well. So still keeping it in the family here at North Laurel. But yeah, having Reed and even Trent and those guys that have done what they've done, I think shows those guys that there is hope, and that you can do it. And I tell our guys all the time, if you want to play in the NBA, then put your mind to it and shoot for that, and don't let anybody laugh at you. And I said that early on to Reed, and I know a lot of people said, "Do you really think he's going to play in the NBA?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And those guys work at it though. That's the other thing, and even with Trent and Maddox Huff, I mean, those guys, to see those guys improve since I've been here is unbelievable, and the amount of work that they put in. And there's no secret to it. Those guys, they obviously have God-given ability, but they made the most of it and got in the gym and worked. And, it's, now I think every kid that plays in the North Laurel program, as a youth thinks they're the next Reed Shepherd. And as I tell them, I hope you are.
Thank you.
Coach, you've kind of got a mix of veteran and youth, and talk a little bit about that. And I mean, you just mentioned Reese Davidson, who averages 20.6 points per game for you. And then you've got Jordan Rawlings coming in with 10.1, but some of the other guys in that mix that might catch some people off guard.
Yeah, Cole Jervis is our lone senior on the team this year, and he's been terrific for us. Cole's a really good golfer and always comes in a little bit late coming out of region golf tournament, so it always takes him a little time to get going. But he's really come on here late, and he always does January, February. But he's just a gutsy kid. He played in the state tournament as a sophomore and came in and played well. And, what he's lacking in size, he makes up for in heart. I mean, he's just a competitor, and he's made a lot of big shots for us. He's hit a half court shot to win a game for us. He made the three to tie the game against Harlan County to put it in overtime. Jordan Rawlings has been another one. Shoots the ball extremely well and continues to improve. RJ Noble is a guy that doesn't show up on the stat sheet quite as much, but we're so much better with him on the floor and the fight that he brings to us. Cooper Elza ran the point a lot for us this year and been one of our better defenders. Came up clutch, making free throws down the stretch in the South Laurel game to seal that. Went 6 for 6 in overtime. So we've gotten good play off the bench too from Corey Cunningham, and Cam Anderson. Those guys bring a lot of heart to us. So we feel like we're not so one-dimensional, like I said, as we were at the beginning of the year. And it can be any given night, can be any guy, and that's what makes us a good team.
Talk about having that the 11 a.m. on Thursday.
Yeah, we're excited about it. It's good because you can get up and go play, and you don't have to sit around all day and think about it. But we played at 1 o'clock twice this year. We played in the region semis at 1. So, and these guys, they all play AAU, so they're used to playing. Some of them play the 8 a.m. game. So, there's no excuse. It's a state tournament, so get to bed, hopefully get some sleep, and then we'll get up and get them ready to go.
Going 11 on Thursday, is that as close as getting a Wednesday game that allows you the most rest should you advance?
Yeah, I think so. It does give you some rest and some time to prepare. Those teams that play later on those Thursdays, that's a quick turnaround. But again, it's a state tournament, and you're used to playing that. These guys that play AU, they're used to playing 4 games in 4 days. But the main thing for us right now is winning the first one. That's the task at hand, and that's beating Breathitt County, and that's really, really impressed with watching them on video. So that's all we're concerned with right now. We're gonna do everything we can to get the first one.
Any more questions for Coach here? All right, Coach, we look forward to seeing you guys down at Rupp Arena.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up with us is Danville Christian, Region 12, Danville Christian Warriors, Coach Busick, 29-3 this season. You'll be playing Region 8, South Oldham, 6 p.m. Wednesday. Coach, can you tell us a little bit about your team? Oh, Coach, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, please.
Is that good?
There you go. We want everybody to be able to hear you.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having us. We're just excited to be here, and we know that our appearance here is the Lord has allowed us to be in this moment, and we're excited to represent Him and Danville Christian Academy as we go to Rupp Arena for the first time in the boys program. And luckily, we got to watch the girls play, so we have a little bit of a feel for it, but. Really excited about this basketball team we have here at DCA, and excited to represent our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ as we take the floor on Wednesday evening at 6.
And Coach, you played Ashland Blazer earlier this season and a team that is also in the field. What kind of did you learn with that game?
Well, I think, being in some of the tournaments that we were in this year really helped us. And the Blazer tournament was a good one. We got to the finals. Playing Ashland Blazer on their home court. I believe we led by 1 going into the 4th. And that was early in the season. We still really haven't established our identity at that point. But we felt like we could compete with them. And I think after that game, we realized we could really compete with anybody in the state, because we feel Ashland is certainly one of the top teams and top programs in the state of Kentucky. So we knew after that, even though we didn't pull it out, we knew that we could really achieve some of our goals. And the one thing we're really excited about is that we had the All-A, and we ended up winning that. And that going through the emotions, the stress, and the physical toll it takes on your body to play those games back to back to back to back is something I think hopefully has prepared us for this opportunity in front of us.
Larry Vaught with a question.
Hey, Coach, just wondered, coming off the 12th region tournament where points were really hard to get for anybody, it seemed like. Does that concern you, or is that just kind of the flow of the way that tournament went? win all, or do you think your offense is okay going into this day?
Yeah, we're not worried about it. We obviously hang our hat on defenses. I think the other teams in the 12th region do as well. It was a very defensive-minded tournament. It was a very physical tournament, and it was a very taxing tournament. And I'm glad we had those days, the 15 days off to prepare for our next game. And we certainly, after the 12th region tournament was over, we gave our kids about 4 or 5 days off, and then started back up a week ago. And so, no, we're not concerned. We feel our defense directly leads to offense and creates some offense for us. So again, we're still hanging our hat on defense. The great Pat Summitt once said that offense sells tickets, defense wins games, and rebounding wins championships. And we have certainly, as a basketball team, subscribed to that.
Thanks.
And Coach, you mentioned it a little bit there. There's always the debate between rest and rust, and sounds like you've been trying to work in a little bit of both, where you're keeping sharp, but also allowing your guys a little bit extra rest.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, when you go through a grind, coming from Indiana, this is my first year in Kentucky, and I coached 31 varsity seasons in Indiana. In Indiana, you don't play near this many games. You don't have those 3 and 4 week games, 3 or 4 games in 1 week. I mean, it's just really tough. And then especially to go through it's compounded when you're playing in the intense, pressure filled region tournament. And ours was, down to the wire every game. But I was just proud of our guys, how they pulled it out. I felt like we were really ready to go. And, the defense, again, is something we can hang our hat on. And I feel like after the physical toll that tournament took on us, taking some days off was a lot more important than going out and practicing. I really didn't know what we would achieve, to be quite honest, because we had a lot of guys that were banged up. We had some soreness, and the time we got to take off has really helped us to recover from that.
Talk a little bit about what you know about South Oldham, your opponent, 6 p.m. on Wednesday.
And I'll tell you what, they're an outstanding basketball team. And, it's going to be a real contrast of styles. About 60% of their shots are 3-point shots. And we're more of an inside team, inside out. And they're more of an outside in. But, don't be fooled. That team could still score inside. I mean, they've got great drivers. They have great ball movement. I've been really, really impressed with the way they move the basketball, the way they shoot the basketball. All those threes they shoot, they're still near 40%. Very, very impressive. They guard hard. They mix their defenses up a lot. They've been a tough preparation for us, because it's hard to, emulate what they do in a game in your practice when you don't really play like that. And, conversely, it's probably just as tough for them, because it's hard to, put a 6'10" and a 6'11" guy in there when you don't have one. So I think it's a real contrast in styles. It's going to be an excellent game. They're an outstanding basketball team. And, our goal is just to make sure that we could keep those made threes to a minimum, because boy, when they get on a roll, you could be up 10 or 12 points on them and feel very comfortable. And 2 minutes later, you're down 3 because they've hit about 4 or 5 threes in a row. So great basketball team, extremely well coached. Very, very impressed by watching them on film.
Talk about your juniors in Etienne with 16.5 points per game, and Boyd 14.5.
Well, Lake Atene, or Lake Aten is really how you say it. But Lake is an outstanding prospect. He's 6'10", about 205 pounds. Great athlete, good, great length. And he can score inside and out. If you leave him open from outside, he's a good shooter. He's actually our highest, best free throw shooter, over at 80%, about 83, 84% from the foul line, which is unusual for a young man that size. But he could play inside and out, and he's an excellent defender. Titus Boyd is a senior and 2,000-point scorer for us over his career. He just scored his 2,000th point in the region tournament, and just kind of the heart and soul of our team. He's our one of our captains, and just does such a nice job of leading us by example, and through his talk as well. He's a great communicator. He's a point guard and coach on the floor. We're really depend on those two to give us a big lift.
Outside of those two, who do you need to see kind of come out comfortably in that first game to feel solid about what you guys have put on the floor?
Well, I think our 6'11" center, senior center, Lou Alayaye, Big Lou is again one of our captains, a great young man. He can score inside and out. Great rim protector, good quickness, great length. We need him to play well. Cole Dadisman is a junior who recently was inserted into the starting lineup due to an injury from one of our other captains, Billy Inman, who was injured in the region tournament and broke a bone in his foot. So he is out indefinitely. Certainly need Cole to continue to play well. He had a really good region tournament for us, made the all-region team. And then our fifth starter is Eli Perez, a sophomore guard, just needs to be steady. And then off the bench, Dre Motley he's a junior guard. It's a nice player for us. Jeremiah Stiefel is a young man that moved in midway through the season. Was a homeschool kid that wanted to get involved in a school and came to our school. And he's done a really nice job contributing, along with freshman Graham Domitian, sophomore Josiah Bradshaw. So really those guys get the bulk of our minutes. It's a great group of young men, and we go 9-10 deep, and without Billy Inman, we'll certainly go 9 deep. And we try to rotate guys in, because one of our things, we can only control 2 things in the game of basketball, and that's our attitude and our effort. And we're going to have a great attitude, and we're going to give great effort. And if we could be in complete control of those things, I really believe that we could be a really competitive team.
Any other questions for Coach? We appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena, Coach.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Next on the call with us, we've got 11th region champ, Great Crossing Warhawks, Coach Steve Page, 31-4 this season. 3 of those 4 losses are to out-of-state opponents, and then the other is to St. X, who's in the field. You will be playing Region 3 champ, Davis County, 6 p.m. Thursday. Just talk a little bit about your team, Coach.
Yeah, obviously it's our second year back. Being there last year, so the kids were obviously focused. Last year we hoped to win it. Obviously, we lost in the semifinals to a really good Lyon County team, and so we've been all year up the 6-year program. Up till this year we had multiple goals, and honestly this year we had one goal, and that's to win the Sweet 16. So the kids have stayed pretty focused on that one goal throughout the season. We took them all over the place, in back-to-back tournaments, the City of Palms and the Beach Ball Classic, and right before that we played St. X. So, we started off, I think, 6-0, started with St. X, lost 3 in a row and 4 of 6. But the confidence the kids had really never wavered through that process. And then since the semifinals of the Beach Ball Classic, we've yet to suffer defeat and have won several close games against really, really good teams. So that's a good part is, we found a way to win. Probably not great on Coach. My heart rate at sometimes of, having those close games. You'd like to win them by a little bit more than that, but sometimes they're even more satisfying to, have some victories that we've had, this season. So, if you'd have told me at this point, I'd be on be talking today. Obviously, Sweet 16 was one of our goals, but being 31-4 with the schedule we've had, in my opinion, I think we've exceeded kind of what our expectations were.
Larry Vaught with a question.
Hey, Steve, good talk to you. Malachi's had, I don't want to call it a dream season, but it's been pretty good with everything that's gone right for him and everything so far. How has he kind of improved? How has he stayed focused on the big goal of winning the state championship with all the other things he's had going on?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think Malachi would be the first one to tell you it's not going to be a dream season if we're not holding a trophy in the, at Rupp Arena on Saturday. So while he's proud, of the individual accolades that he's gotten this season, he is 1,000,000% a team guy and is focused on, being a team guy. I think that goes without saying on the fact that he could have easily left Great Crossing and went, to any prep school in the United States that we're all clamoring for him. But he decided to stay loyal to his buddies and, loyal to us. And we're hoping to repay that. But what he's improved on, he's become a better leader. He's always going to be, he's been great around the rim as, I think he's third in the history of KHSAA in block shots. And he's always going to be that rim protector and defensively. And some of the areas he's improved on, you don't see on the floor for us. He's actually improved his shooting, but he doesn't shoot that much, outside for us because, 7'1" kid and, in high school, we're gonna use him in a little bit different ways than he's gonna be used on the next level. But he's got that skill set. He's just, he's not showing it, every day. He handles the ball really well, especially for a 7'1" kid. Makes really good decisions. He's just below 4 assists per game, which is excellent for a kid, his size. So, those are probably the main areas that, I've seen improvement out of him.
What do you know about Davis County, Coach?
Yeah, so obviously, we've had 16 days since our last game, and they played that same night. So, honestly, I spent the first 5 or 6 days after watching them, and then I stopped watching them on purpose because sometimes you overanalyze and you can, get in I think Mark Pope actually said it yesterday that one of his coaches said that he was too far in the weeds with Troy because he had 4 days to prepare and they normally don't have that much. And that comment kind of resonated with me because, I decided early on we were going to do that. And then my coaching staff and myself have spent the last 7 days with what we hope will be future opponents. We know Davis County's, it's going to be a tough game for us to even get past that. But, and I actually started back watching them again last night. But Jonathan Moss is really good, a tough guard. And then their other junior, De'Aaron Watkins is, again, a couple kids that are, going to be tough to guard. And then they've got a couple other guys that just play really, really hard. But for us, I think a key, we need to make sure that their third leading scorer, Jackson, I think his last name's Brown, doesn't have an outstanding. We need to do whatever we can to keep him down because Moss is going to get his. Watkins is going to get his. We're going to do our best job to keep it as low as we possibly can. But I think that's kind of a key for us is, making sure we, keep him in check. And then always for us, we need to make sure that we, play through Malachi, and he's going to open up things for everybody else. We feel like, in retrospect, last year we didn't do a very good job of that in the state semifinals. And that's been one of our biggest focuses, all season. And doesn't mean he has to score, he is our leading scorer, but doesn't mean he has to score 30 points a game and shoot 20 shots. Because honestly, Malachi sometimes passes the ball too much, when he's on the inside. But, I think for us really defending at a high level, and just doing a good job like we really have all year of kids locking into what we want them to do when we step out on the court.
Larry Vaught with a question.
Steve, kind of follow up on what you said there. I know Malachi is really unselfish, but as you just mentioned, at some point, do you have to talk to him about maybe, okay, this week it's a little, if you need to be selfish and just go score for us, it's okay to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging just below 22 points a game. So, I mean, you don't want to, in my opinion, you don't want to take away some of the things that he does well. You got to trust that he's making that decision, to kick it out or whatever, because it's going to be for the betterment of the team. And he doesn't feel like he's got the ball where he wants to, and he's going to be able to easily score, but so it's hard to tell a kid, to be too selfish, especially with us. I mean, one of the big things that we focus on is our assists. So really making the extra pass and moving the basketball. So I don't think I'll probably ever tell him, necessarily, maybe, let's say we're down 1 point and, we've got a mismatch on the inside, but the kids know, and we've done a pretty good job this year of recognizing, those mismatches, that we have. But yeah, I think it's tough to tell a kid, to just be selfish because he's got four other buddies with him. So, if he does that and it doesn't work out and one of his buddies is open, and he's been used to making that pass, then, that's probably not what's best for the team.
And Steve, if you all, or should I say, when you get to the state championship game, so you think I'm saying positive, how does that impact Malachi's McDonald's All-American plan? Is he still going to be able to go and participate in all that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. His mom's been communicating with the McDonald's folks. So he'll just leave on Sunday morning. Matter of fact, I'm flying out at like 12:30 myself on Sunday afternoon to go up and watching him. So yeah, they kind of know, and they had some different plans for if we didn't make Sweet 16 versus, if we did. I don't know if he's got a Friday or Saturday plan, but I do know he has an early morning Sunday flight already scheduled. So if we lose before that, I don't know that he'll leave before that or not, but he's going to be able to play in the game. They understand that obviously, this comes first for him and he'll get there as soon as he can.
Thanks.
Coach, you may have touched a bit on this earlier, but talk about how important at this juncture and in this tournament is it more about knowing your team and your buttons versus knowing your opponent and their shortcomings and or strengths?
I think it's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, at the end of the day, you can sit and look at a what you perceive as a weakness of the other team, but if it's not your strength, do you really want to hone in on that and say, okay, we think this kid doesn't guard well enough, so we're going to have our kid who we think he's going to guard, who's an 8-point a game scorer for us, try to take advantage of that matchup. So I think you've got to do what you do best, which for us is, obviously we've got 3 kids in double figures, but, Trey and Vince Dawson and Malachi are, both over 2,000 point scorers, and Vince is over 2,500 in his career. Malachi has an outside chance to get to 2,500 this week. We're going to play through those guys. We think it's a strength for us, no matter what you have against us. So we are going to play through them. We probably focus more. We'll focus some different things we're going to run, but still focus on those couple within what we're going to run. We probably defense game plan more than we really offense game plan. Davies County, for an example, runs a lot of ball screens. So while we haven't specifically said in practice for the last 10 days, this is Davies County, we haven't really brought Davies County up to them. Won't even show them film until this afternoon for the first time because we don't want them overthinking. We've done a lot of stuff that we know we're going to focus in on the game plan, but just done it within the structure of our practice. So we've talked specifically about a couple of the other teams in days of practice that we hope to play later in the tournament. Like, for an example, 2 weeks before we played Douglas, we spent a Wednesday afternoon, working on Douglas practice because we knew we'd only have 2 days before we played them in the region finals. So if we're fortunate enough to play a team like St. X on Saturday night with 2 hours of prep, you'd be crazy not to at least discuss them with your kids on what your game plan may look like. But at the same time, we got a lot of work to do before we even think about that game. And obviously so do they. So State of Kentucky's awesome. We've got 15 other teams, but besides ourselves, that are very capable of winning the Sweet 16. So if you let your guard down at any point, you're going to be sitting in the stands watching them play.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you down at Rupp.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Up next, we have Montgomery County Region 10th champion and Coach Jason Mays. 22-10 are the Indians this season. 7 of the first 11 games were losses, so you really kind of came out of the gate a little slow. But talk about your team a little bit and what you found in this stretch to put you in the position you're in.
A point guard. So we have we got great kids. Great, they come from great families. And this process started last year in 23-24 season. We were 11-18, and just a lot of everything from what we do on the floor was new to what we do off the floor was new, how our terminology, our verbiage, and it was a big ship. So it takes a while to turn it around. And we go into this season, and we had two new players. We had Andrew Terry, who was a freshman. His father has been a very good friend of mine for many years. My family is from Owsley County, and his dad is our assistant coach. And so we added Andrew, and then we added a young man by the name of Caden Reed from Mason County. And Caden had some KHSAA eligibility things, and so we had to wait for him to be declared eligible, which was January 25th. And so it was really awkward. I've never done anything like it before, where we had Caden in practice every day, and then come game time, you didn't have your dynamic point guard, and it was just, so then you say, well, this is uncomfortable and awkward. So do we just not play Caden at point guard in practice every day? Well, the answer to that is no, because you have to have the long-term view in mind. And I'm glad we did it that way. And so, this year was just a continuation of everything we were doing last year. We just added a few more bodies. And a dynamic point guard makes a world of difference. And so that's really, we were getting better before he was eligible, but once he became eligible, he was just really a difference maker. I mean, he had the last second shot against Cove Catholic, the last second shot to win the regional championship game. So, if I don't answer your question that way, it would be disingenuous.
Well, and the last time you saw Lawrence County, which is who you're playing 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, was in 2015. So neither of these programs are in any of the same situation. But what do you know about Lawrence County in general?
I've still been focusing on us, but our staff's been focusing on them. I watched film for the first time last night, and they are going to play. They got 5 guards that all play similar. They all have a little bit different characteristics, but they're going to penetrate and kick. They're going to spread the floor, and going to make you choose. Are you helping on the 3? If so, we're going to kick out. Are you staying tight? We're going to, take you to the rim. So it's a pretty simple game plan. I'm not going to disclose what we're going to do, but Chandler keeps it simple. Chandler was an assistant to Randy Anderson at Boyd when I was at Ashland. I think a lot of Chandler, and I think this is their second time in school history going to the state tournament. So I'm sure they're very excited, and there's a lot of pride down in Louisa. And so I'm sure that they're gearing up to play against Montgomery County just like we are against Lawrence. But I don't think it's time to focus on them as much as it's still time to focus on us improving.
Larry Vaught with a question.
Hey, Jason, just a couple things for you. One, from what I understand, there won't be anybody left in Montgomery County when you all play with the way ticket sales are going. What's just the fan reaction been like, and how many people do you expect to be there for your game?
It's a testament, Larry, that high school sports can affect a community in such a positive way when done right and when supported. You're right. I don't know the KHSA record on how fast the section sells out. I don't really care to know, but I know that we were getting phone calls. Our administration was getting phone calls saying, "This is great. You guys are killing it." So, our people are excited. I think they were starving for this moment. And the way, Larry, that the game unfolded just added to it. Largest crowd we've ever had in the arena, which was built in 2006. It holds 4,200. And I just hope the fire marshal kept his job, So that added to it. And then we haven't been since 2013. The first time Montgomery County ever been was 1995. And so it's new to them. It's not brand new as far as they've done it before, but it's been 12 years, so it's fresh. Everybody's excited. They've really come to love this team. But you're right. What's the old adage? Turn the last guy out of town, turn the lights off. It'll be a little bit like that. Yes, you're correct.
And then just for you personally, what's this? How rewarding has this been for you to come and take another team to the state tournament like this?
Great. I'm focused on us. There's some people that have tried to make it about what happened in the past, and I try to live a life with a heart full of forgiveness, and sometimes you have to not only forgive, but you have to forget because we all make mistakes. And so Montgomery County has been a huge part of giving me a chance to coach again. And for that, I'll forever be grateful to our superintendent and our admin team and our athletic director. And so it truly is about these kids at Montgomery County. It's not about what happened in the past or redemption. Hey, we're back. It's about having a fresh set of eyes and looking at this through the lens that our kids are looking at this through. I don't want to look at this through the lens of, well, I've been here, done that before. So I'm trying not to do that, and if that makes sense. And then what you also have to understand is Caden Reed is the only player who's ever been in a regional tournament in our entire program.
Wow.
And so we not only didn't have a player ever win one, we didn't have a player outside of Caden, and he was new to our program this year, that had ever participated in a regional tournament. And so I think it's healthy for me to look at this through their eyes. And it's also more fun to look at it that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coach, what would you say that you learned? You played George Rogers Clark several times, and one direction, one way, and then kept chipping away at them and got them both in the district and the region championship, and then maybe what that does for you headed into the tournament and potentially seeing Great Crossing again.
Man, I hope I don't see Great Crossing. They're really good. It's coach speak. I'm sorry, but I sort of have I'll be 49 next week on April Fool's Day, and been doing this since 1994 in some capacity. You sort of get used to going into a cave and focusing on what truly matters as far as helping your team be in a position to win the next game. And so, not to deflect your question, but it's all about Lawrence County. Just like our march through the regional tournament, even the district tournament, it was about Bourbon County, then it was about GRC. And then after we won that, we come down off that high and reset, recalibrate, and it was about Harrison County. I mean, our scattering report on Harrison County was longer than the scattering report on GRC. And that's the way it should be, because that was the first time we'd played Harrison County. Then it was all hands on deck on Mason County, and then all hands on deck on GRC. And so I think our kids have learned that I'm not going to allow them to focus past what is ahead of them in the precious present. And so I have to demonstrate that. And so that's the great thing about having a staff. You don't want to be naive. So you delegate advanced scouting to your assistants, and we'll be ready for our next opponent if we're fortunate enough to get by a very talented Lawrence County team who's playing very well right now.
Any other questions for Coach Mays about Montgomery County? All right, Coach, we look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena.
Thank you.
Have somebody turn the lights out. Up next with us is the Region 9 champ Jaguars, Coach Tim Sullivan. 23-5 this season. You'll be playing Region 2 Henderson County, 8:30 p.m. Thursday. It's the first meeting between you two ever. So just talk a little bit about your team and what you're looking for as you come to the state tournament.
Absolutely. Yeah. You get that first game, that 8:30 West Coast night game. So, all the kids are like, man, I don't know if I can get down, coach, this and that. So, but no, we're excited. Our kids are excited. What a great, every kid's dream to get down there and play on that floor and get to experience the Sweet 16. It means the world to those kids, and to, for people like us that have grown up around it and been around it. It's a real special thing to watch them, kind of savor this and take every moment in. But this year has been it's been an interesting one. We started late. We knew try to learn from your experiences, and last year going into the year, we knew our football team was going to be pretty good. Didn't know that they would go as far as they did, which is unbelievable. So we got started really late last year, and was trying to play some games early in the year with some freshmen on the floor, and we took our lumps, but I learned from it. And this past year, we didn't schedule the first week of the season. I talked to some different coaches that have been in that situation, so we didn't schedule early. And then, of course, weather happened, so we lost some games. So you see why our record is, we didn't play as many games, but as much as I hate that, I also love it too, because that means we got to practice a lot, and I love practicing. And when you have, a number of guys that play football that, they made it to the state finals again. So to get those guys, and we're a firm believer, our staff's a firm believer that, we want to win games early, and we want to, build our record and get a nice record. But we do truly understand that it's about where you're playing and how you're playing when, come February, March. And I thought that we took our lumps early on. I mean, I looking back at our schedule, I remember playing in the LexCat tournament. We lose to Frederick Douglass by 2, and had a lead in most of that game. And we had a sophomore point guard at that point playing a lot of point for us. So just growing up, and guys like Andy Johnson figuring out how to lead and how to make others better around him, and just watching that maturization of a kid like him take fold. And as the year went on, our kids just continued to buy in, continued to figure out their roles and start in their roles. And we had some really good wins. And even in our district with Connor, Ryle, and Boone, we beat the crap out of each other every night when we play each other. So then it's always tough. So even get out of that 33rd district, to get out of there, and we got the 1 seed, won the district, and then our region, man, it's a gauntlet trying to get through. And I just listened to Coach Mays talking about, one day at a time. And that's how we are right now. We're focused on just enjoying the moment, enjoying the day, and trying to go 1-0, whether we're practicing, whether we're playing. We're just trying to be great that one time, be great every day, and trying to be a little bit better each day, and trying to continue to grow. I'm at 46, I'm still learning and trying to grow. And, how quickly we forget, we made it in 2017, but here we are back down in 2025, and I'm, going back trying to remember exactly how to do everything, and all the paperwork and all the, trying to make sure that everything's ready to go. So when you get down there, you can just enjoy it and work your tail off to try to win each day.
Larry Vaught with a question.
Hey, Coach, 2 questions for you. First, when you talk about having a team that's got a lot of football players, and you get kind of a late start, what's the plus side of that, as far as just having guys that are used to winning and just become tough guys because they are competing all the time?
I love it. Over the years, we've had a lot of Coach Borchers and I have shared a lot of football, basketball guys. And when they show up for practice, our practices go to a whole nother level. The physicality in practice, the competitiveness in practice, the athleticism in practice. And that's what, I always want. I want multi-sport kids. I know we're in a day and age where a lot of kids sing, they specify in one sport. But we're blessed to have a lot of kids that are pretty talented on both the field and the court. So getting those guys back, it just gives you a burst of energy and a physicality. And like you said, those guys coming from a situation where they won at a high level and took everybody's best shot and made it all the way to the state finals. You can take a lot from that. And we lean on those guys. There's a lot of days where I'll text those guys that have been there and just, man, what do you guys think about this or that? And it's great to have those type of guys in there, and it's, they take ownership of this thing. It's very special.
And then with those players, I know, as you said, it's been kind of an interesting, difficult, challenging couple of months, but how have you managed to keep them from getting distracted about what's going on outside, and just keep them focused on what their job is on the court? You seem to have done a magnificent job of that.
Thank you. I think, it takes every one of us. My staff has been unbelievable. I've got 3 alumni now on my staff, so they've been through it. They know what I'm built, and how I'm built and how I work, and they understand what we're trying to do. And then on top of that, before I talk about the kids, our families, the families in our program, the parents, the brothers and sisters, the aunts and grandmas, and everybody, the way that they have wrapped their arms around, us as a program. And again, I understand that there's a lot of attention on the situation with me, but we met and we talked, and when I finally allowed, let our staff, or I'm sorry, our players and our families in on it, there were a lot of tears shed. There was a lot of emotions, but the way that everyone has responded, I think a lot of people can learn a lot from our situation, just for the simple fact that they have wrapped their arms around us, and they, and our kids have figured out how to live in the moment and do that want to know every day, and not allow all the noise to get to you, and not make it about one person, including me, because in our program, we talk a lot about no one's bigger than the program. Even if I stepped away, this program, it'll be fine. And the next person will take it. So understanding that, and understanding that, just live in the moment, man, and enjoy the day, knowing that this is high school basketball. We are all competitive, and we all want to do great things, and we want to, at the end of the day, it's about high school basketball, and it's about these kids, and it's about trying to teach them how to be grown adults, and figure out how to make it through times like this that are not exactly the perfect situation, and you make the best of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, you have 3 seniors and a sophomore that probably a lot of people talk about, in Andy Johnson with 22.8 points a game, Isaac Brown 9.4, Jaden Combs 9.0, and then your sophomore Roman Combs at 10.4. But to see something special happen at the Sweet 16, who do you need to see have some games for you?
I truly feel like a big key to what we do, and he's been unbelievable lately, is Isaac Brown. Isaac's one of those football kids that's played at a high level. Just a great kid that understands that if we need him to score, he'll go get us a bucket. In the first round of the region, he's not a guy that scores a lot. And what's he do? He goes out and puts up 23 for us. Team takes away Andy. So having a kid like that, his leadership, and he's playing out of position right now. I mean, we pretty much have 5 point guards on the floor, but he would be the point guard for us, and his leadership and the way that he goes about his business every day, and the fact that we can count on him, and he's a kid that I truly do. When the bright lights come on, I feel like it makes him his best. And I think that has a lot to do with just his maturity and the way that he goes about his business every day.
One final question from Greg Busby. Greg, I think you're on mute. All right. Greg, give you one last chance. Try to unmute yourself there with a question. Or do you want to type it in the chat? I can ask it for you. All right, Coach. Well, we'll let you get back to your day, and we appreciate your time. Oh, he wants your thought on Henderson.
Okay, yeah, definitely. No, Coach Smithart, they got 2 kids that can shoot it. Obviously, the Davenport kid, he's got unlimited range. They do a heck of a job defensively. They play a lot of matchup zone, a lot of 2-2-1 pressure. They're going to mix it up. You'll probably see some different things from them. But they've got athleticism inside with the Suggs kid. And then there are 3 guards. You look at their starting lineup, they got 3 guards average. Their 3-point percentages are all over 38%. So anytime you shoot better than 33% at the high school level, you can flat out shoot it. So they've got some kids, as a team, they're almost 38% from the 3. So got to guard a 3-point line. And, big thing with their athleticism and size inside, you got to be able to win on the glass as well.
Coach, we appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Next up, Region 8 champ South Oldham Dragons, Coach Steve Simpson. The Dragons are 29-5 this season. They'll be playing Region 12 champion Danville Christian, 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Coach, tell us a little bit about your team, please.
Am I okay? Am I on?
You are on. Yes.
Okay. Oh, yes. We are this is our 4th trip to the state tournament since I've been here, and this team has been a very hardworking team. We shoot a ton of threes. As everyone knows, we've hit 424 threes this season, which beat our record of 394. And we have to do that a lot. We don't have a lot of size at South, but we have a lot of kids that are willing to get in here before school. I'm here every morning at 7 a.m. during the season, and there's always 6 or 8 guys in here shooting on our shooting guns. And as a result, Playing in the 29th district with two other Oldham County schools is a very, very tough district. And then the 8th region is a much better a much better basketball region sometimes than I think people give it credit. We've got a ton of great coaches in the 8th region. All these guys, most of them have been at their schools for a while, and they do a great job. We had several starters returning from last year. Last year, we were able to get back to the regional tournament for the first time and had a little drought there. We were out about 4 years. And so got us back there last year, and they got a little taste of that. And then we were able to get back over there this year. 3 exciting games. Simon Kenton, we scored with 0.5 of a second to go. Beat the defending champ, Spencer County, very well coached by Jason Burns. And then an overtime game against North Oldham. So it's been a grind, but they put 29 wins on the board, and we feel really good about our year.
Coach, you kind of had some of your early losses and then went on a really nice stretch. And then since late December, your only 2 setbacks have been to North Oldham, which you avenged with a 3-point win in the region championship. What did you guys learn about themselves and this team?
Well, we learned that we had to keep grinding. We learned that we knew that we had a team capable of winning this region. One of the things that we do every summer, which I think is a really cool story, we do an overnight in the summer. We come to Lexington. This year we came up and played Bryan Station, and we go out to the Clarion. They have an indoor basketball court over there, and we play a little 2-on-2. But every year we go to Rupp Arena and we sit outside on the steps, and we talk about what it's going to take to get through those doors without having to buy a ticket. And we let the kids throw out what they feel like as coaches we need to do, and then the coaches we give them feedback and tell them what we feel like they will have to do to reach that goal. And even with the setbacks that we had, they never lost those goals. They never, losing to North Oldham. Anytime you lose to a rival, it's easy just to kind of phone them in. Then you lose to them again. But when we went to play them a third time, they were ready. They knew that they were capable. And that's what I learned about this South Oldham team, that they had some grit. And in our community, that's something that in our program we really push. And some years we get it, and some years we don't. And this year we were able to get it.
Give us some talk about some of your players and who you need to see step up in this tournament.
We run a 5-out system, so all our guys we operate under what's called the green light shooting. So all of our guys, when you shot over 1,000 threes, all our guys can take a 3 anytime they feel like it is a good shot. Our goal as coaches is to drill them in good shot versus great shot. And once they learn the difference in those two things, it really doesn't matter who touches. Julian Miles leads us in scoring, but the basket that won the region was a penetration by Julian, a pass to Colton Wookturl, who went one more to Brooks B and shot a wide open 3 in the corner. We've done that drill 1,000 times over the course of their career here. So all our guys have to step up. Danville Christian is an excellent team. Going into this game, our bench played extremely well in the regional tournament. Drew Campbell, Colton Wookturl, and Adrian Miles came off the bench, played huge minutes, hit big shots. So we're about 8 deep. All those guys are going to have to come to play. I don't think we can just say one. I think all our guys are going to have to show up to take on a Danville Christian team who is a very unique team.
Talk a little bit about Danville Christian. Obviously, such a new program, such a new school. First meeting between the two, and what you've been able to glean and maybe game plan against them.
Well, first thing is not too many high school teams you're going to play have 2 7-footers. That's the first thing that you notice on the film. And of course, they only give up 42 points a game. They're the 2 7-footers are down there on the block, and those other 3 guys are out there, and they are just getting after you, just daring you to try to take it to the basket with what's waiting for you under there. They don't average a lot of points, but they're very efficient offensively, and they'll run if the opportunity is there. If they feel like they need to really sit down and be patient on offense, they do a great job. They do a great job with that. Uh, the key for us, we feel like, is going to be our player movement and ball movement against that defense they play. They'll press full court, some 2-on-2. So it's a situation where we're going to have to make some outside shots, and that's our style anyway. And so we will have to make sure that we're not trying to shoot too deep, have their defense push us out too far. We're going to have to make sure we're running our stuff, make sure we're making the right reads. We're a big read and react type team where we try to take what the defense gives us, and that will be key. Another thing is we have got to keep them off the boards because when they do miss a shot, they get a ton of offensive rebounds, and those guys get a ton of stickbacks. And so, again, an excellent team, very well coached, and we're looking forward to it. But again, tremendous challenge going forward.
And Coach, can you speak to any stretch or game this season that maybe you knew you had something special with this team and could be in this position coming to the Sweet 16?
Well, there's probably several games. When we were able to beat Oldham in the regular season, again to put ourselves in a position. We're in a 3-team district, so if you can win 2 games, then you get an automatic bid to the regional tournament, which is a little different. We did not get that. We beat Cooper early in the year, which was a really good win. Marshall County, we lost to them by 6, but we were up with 4 minutes to go. We beat a good Muhlenberg County team in the Campbellsville tournament, but probably with not knowing just the streaks we were able to put together after a loss. Every time we lost, we went on a streak, and so I think that's when I knew this team had some resilience. That's when I knew this team was not going to just phone it in. They were in for the long haul. That they really bought in this year, and I listen to college football coaches all the time in the preseason, and every one of them that just talk about the buy-in, and that's true, especially true I think with high school teams. If you can get your kids to buy in, then you can pretty much run or play however you want to. And these guys have really bought into this over the last few years, and as a result, this we have 6 seniors, 4 that play the majority of the time. Senior teams hate to lose, and that's one thing that I think that was big, more so than maybe just any particular game, but just their attitude that they believed in themselves, believed in the coaches, and believed that they were capable of getting to Rupp Arena in the Sweet 16.
Any further questions for Coach Simpson and South Oldham? All right, Coach, we look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Up next with us, Region 7 champ, St. Xavier Tigers. Coach Kevin Klein, 31-2 this season. Both of those losses come to out-of-state opponents. You'll be playing Region 6 Jefferson Town, 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday. What can you tell us about your team, Coach?
Hey, thanks for having me. Good afternoon. No, super excited. Anytime I get a chance to talk about our team, it's always a pleasure for me. We got such a special group of guys and essentially brought back our entire squad from last season. And, we've got 7 guys that have played varsity rotational minutes since their freshman year. And, we were 30-4 last year and brought back all of our starters. Like I said, pretty much the whole nucleus of the team. And it's just a special, special group that's super connected. They play really hard and really unselfish basketball. And, something I've always motivated our guys with, if somebody comes to our game for the first time, you give them a reason to come back because they like something about your team. And I'm just tickled to death that we'll get to play on the big stage at Rupp Arena, and there'll be a lot of fans from out in other parts of the state that might not have seen a St. X play this year or last year, but maybe they've heard about us or our style. And, we're number one in the state in scoring at just north of 80 points a game, but we really take a lot of pride in our defense. We held Trinity to 44 points in the LIT championship and the 7th region championship 2 weeks ago. And these guys will really get down and guard. They're super competitive. They're very connected. We got some good length and some good athleticism. And we've just found ways to win games in different ways. We've scored over 100 points a few times. We've been over 90, maybe 5 or 6 times. And then if it needs to be a 58 to 44 knockdown, drag out, we think we're equipped to win that style of game as well. And in our first 8 games, we had 6 different players lead us in scoring. 67% of our made baskets have been assisted this year, which just kind of speaks to the unselfishness of our guys. And they've been working for this moment. Since last year's regional semifinal, we had a tough end of the game, last game of the season, and they just had a chip on their shoulder since that moment. And just to see them work, now it's been for over 365 days to reach this moment, and now to finally be within 48 hours of getting to the 1:30 tip at Rupp Arena. This group is super hungry, a great chip on their shoulder, and I just can't wait to go out and continue to compete with them.
You kind of got 4 guys led by a balanced attack, really. Jeremiah Johnson is a junior, 14.6 points a game. Dillingham, 13.9. Will Hankey with 9.4, and Cameron with 9. Like you kind of mentioned already, you can get anything out of anybody's leaders across the board. But outside of those 4 that kind of lead the balanced attack for most of the season, who do you need to see have a good night for you or a good afternoon for you to get the ball rolling?
No, that's the great thing about our team. Some coaches subscribe to having depth as an asset. Some are like, oh, just give me 6 or 7 guys. And we really take a lot of pride in our depth, and we think we're one of the deepest teams that is out there in the state. We'll play 10 guys in our rotation, and those 4 guys that you mentioned do a great job. I mean, Chance is LIT MVP as a junior, Jeremiah Jackson LIT MVP as a senior, KOB MVP. Will Hankey's just a 4-year warrior that does all the dirty work. He leads the state in field goal percentage at 78%. And then Chief Cameron is a junior guard who just I think the best on-ball defender and best penetrator that I've coached, and which puts him right up there with the best in the state. And then Graham Craisman, 6'7", anchor in the post. He shoots the ball. He bangs inside. He's a great passer, very unselfish, great team leader. Those 5 get us started really well day in and day out. But what we bring off the bench, Brandon Days is just a terrific talent at the point. Bryce Johnson, a big 6'5" lefty, athlete, slasher, shooter. Josh Lindsay is coming back from injury. He's been out for about 7 weeks, and we're excited to have him back. He had 21 points against Mail in a home district game that we had back in January. My son Connor Klein is a 2-year varsity guy as a junior, shoots it, defends, slashes, penetrates, and then Noah Sosa Friedman, another senior that gets after you defensively and has carved out his role very well as well. So the cool thing about that depth, it can be anybody's night on any given night. And our big mantra is just continue to be us. What has us been throughout this year that has allowed us to have the success that we've had. And now we don't need to reinvent who we are when we get to a bigger stage at Rupp Arena. So everybody's got a role. Everybody's excelling in that role. And, if somebody's not making shots one game, the next guy is. If somebody else isn't making shots, we got a couple guys on the offensive glass crashing. We got our defense to pick up for our offense. So it's a total team effort on both ends of the ball. And we've just got a very, very special connected group of guys.
And facing off against a maybe familiar opponent in Region 6 champ, Jefferson Town. The last time you guys played was December 7th, 2023. A solid win for you all. But, it's been back and forth in the rivalry. And is it a good thing or a bad thing to come and have a 6-7 region matchup in round 1?
I think the way we approach it is we're just excited to be here. And when that blind draw is what it is, hey, that's what we're going to do, right? We don't have a choice to be able to pick. We want to play somebody in town or out of town. And J-Town's a great team that's made it 3 out of 4 years, and they're very well coached with Coach Duncan. And, their team got a boost when Cameron McDaniels came back from a prep school maybe a month and a half ago. And they've been there, and they've got a winning culture, a winning tradition. And, we were supposed to play them the last Tuesday of the regular season, but it got snowed out. And I think we would definitely trade that to be on this stage come this Wednesday. So very talented team. They got some athletes, they got some shooters, they got scoring, they got some quick hands, length, athleticism. Any team you get to at this stage of the season is going to pose some really big challenges. And we're just excited to be able to try to figure those out and game plan and see what it looks like come Wednesday afternoon.
Coach, talk about a little bit your win against Great Crossing, the only in-state program to beat Great Crossing this year. And obviously you guys don't have any losses in state. Just talk about what you learned playing them and Malachi Moreno.
Oh, great team. Another team, super well coached. Coach Page does such a great job. And he's back-to-back into the Sweet 16 this year. And, I think the team looks a little bit different from a personnel standpoint from when we played them with maybe a point guard. But when you have a Mr. Basketball, a 7-footer, you've got very complementary pieces around him that can really play with Vince Dawson. And I know the freshman has really come on since we played them in December. And, they've got a winning tradition, a winning culture, a chip on their shoulder because they've been here and they're hungry for more like every other team. So I think that, you want to play the best to sharpen you for the postseason. To get through the 7th region tournament, there's no handouts, and definitely scheduling, a team like Great Crossing and the national exposure and the event we got out in San Diego and playing in the King of Bluegrass, where you're going to play against a lot of Division I future college players, teams that are really well coached, very athletic, very strong, and Great Crossing certainly made us better. And I think we would both sign up for that right now if we could see each other on Saturday night.
Any final comments about coming to Rupp Arena or playing the 1:30 p.m. game Wednesday?
Oh, it's just going to be super special. I've been going to the state tournament since 1988 when I was 11 years old. St. X, we've just brought this community together in a super strong way. 1995 was the last time that St. X was in the state tournament. That was my senior year, and it feels great to finally be able to erase that history with this team. It's all about this team. And just as a former player at St. X and having that experience, I just know how much I cherish that every day. And for these kids to get to live this out this week, and it'll be a memory that they'll never forget. So we know there's a window of opportunity, and we want to maximize every minute that we're together, because this is one of those teams and seasons that you just don't want it to end, because of these guys are great basketball players, but they're better young men. And that's where I think the true victories are going to come. And what these guys are going to be doing 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now is super special. So all of Tiger Nation will be out strong on Wednesday afternoon, and it should be a great, great atmosphere in Rupp Arena.
Appreciate your time, Coach, and looking forward to seeing you at Rupp Arena.
Thanks for having me. Go Tigers.
Thank you. Next on the call is Region 6 champ, Jefferson Town Chargers, Coach Richard Duncan, 26-6 this season, and playing Region 7 St. X at 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Coach, tell us about your team this year.
Yes, ma'am. I got a pretty good group, man. I'm really excited about this group. They're a highly competitive group. I got 10, 11, 12 guys that compete at a high level, man, which just gives us a chance to win every night. Coach Klein spoke on it. We got Cameron McDaniels back, like I said, about a month and a half ago. And, man, that really boosted my team tremendously. He's a great player, offensively and defensively. He does a lot for us. But, we was a good team before he got back also. So those guys actually grew without Cam being here. And that just makes us a strong team right now.
Yeah, Cameron's averaging 22.3 points per game, but then you've got Harrison with 16.8 and Prince with 15.4. Outside of that, who are some of the other names that, people may not see in the stats, but are very important to what you do and what you need as a coach?
I would be wrong as a coach if I didn't mention Demir Clark. Man, he has stepped up tremendously as a leader. Um, he's one of the guys that we talked about had to take a back. When Cameron came back, everybody had to give a little bit more of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Take a step back. Offensive, and he took that role and really just took on the leadership role and really helps us excel. Man, he picked it up on the defense end. Most of the times he go out to the other team's best player with no problems. I mean, he wants to win. So I have to mention Demir Clark. He may not be the one scoring all the points, but he does a lot of the other little things that help us go. Also, I got I hate it because he's hurt. Breon Faulkner was another guy, as an energy guy, come off the bench. He actually has a hand injury. He won't be able to play. He won't be able to play Wednesday. Man, that hurts a little bit. But he was really key in us making the run that we was able to make.
And an injury like that, how do you regroup and maybe the extra time this year between the girls and the guys tournament, was that beneficial in regrouping from something like that?
Absolutely. The extra time helped us out tremendously because we knew he wasn't going to be able to play. So now we had to get other people prepared to step in that role and play. I think Ryan Westmoreland, he's going to step up. He's a sophomore who's been playing really good for us. So he'll take on a lot of the responsibilities that Breon did for us, man. So we feel very confident. We got a couple of young guys that's been itching to play. So now they'll get that opportunity. It's next man up mentality.
And talk a little bit about the fact that it's a Region 6, Region 7, you guys, it's a program you haven't played since 2023. But all your guys know all their guys and vice versa, and being so close, how do you keep them focused on what you're doing?
Well, St. X is drawing a lot of attention, so it's hard to keep my kids focused on just what we're doing. They are a very good team. We're very familiar with them. We actually played in an event over at St. X this year, earlier in the season, so we stuck around and watched two of their games. Very talented team. Like you said, we were scheduled to play this year, got snowed out, so we weren't able to reschedule due to it being such late in the season. And then they got the best of us last year, so we would definitely like to get that revenge factor back. But no, we watched this program grow for the last 3 years. I can remember 3 years ago telling my coaching staff, like, "Now, St. X is going to be something to be dealt with in the future," and they're here now. They're an excellent team.
And talk about what you've learned in the last couple of years with your guys and making runs to the tournament.
Man. Well, what I hope I've learned, I haven't won a game down there yet, man. I'm hoping to change that. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. You got to enjoy this moment. This is a very special moment for these young men, and you got to let them enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? I think the first time I went down there, I was over prepared. I was so excited to be there that I wanted to give them everything, and I don't think I allowed them to be able to relax and play the game that they love to play, the way that they're capable of playing. And then I think last year, not last year, the year before that, it was just luck of the draw, man. We played a close game, lost in overtime to Woodford County, had a chance to win that game, but I think we was prepared. I think we did it the right way. So we tried to mimic that second time. We relaxed, man. St. X puts enough pressure on you. You don't have to put any more pressure on yourself.
Talk about the 1:30 game on Wednesday. At least it's not the early spot. You get a day of rest, if things fall right for you. But how hard is it on 1:30 on a Wednesday?
Nah, it's not hard. You at the Sweet 16. This is the Kentucky State tournament. I mean, this is what you play for. This is what we put on the board at the beginning of the season. So we've been waiting on this moment. I do prefer not playing the first game. You know what I'm saying? My first 2 trips down there, we played the very first game. But the second game, it fits right up our alley. We will be prepared at 1:30.
Coach, any final statements about coming down to Rupp Arena?
Oh, man. I've been telling my kids about it. This is, like I said, I've been to a couple of state tournaments in other states, but Kentucky it's by far it's at the top of the list. It's nothing like it. And they're going to enjoy this and remember it for the rest of their lives.
One follow-up to that, when did you know, you started 0-2 in the season to DuPont Manual North Laurel. But when did you know that you had something special with this team, and it could be like your other two that came all the way to the Sweet 16?
Oh, we knew very early. We had injuries at the beginning of the season. Davon Harris suffered a major head injury that made him sit out. Yeah, he took a nasty fall in the preseason, and we didn't have him for the first couple of weeks of the regular season. But we knew once we got him back, we knew the pieces that we had. We felt really good about this group, and that's like I said. We started the season out. It's the number one goal on the board was to get to this point, and not just to get there to make a run at it. We didn't know we was going to play St. X the first game, but
It's the way the ping pong's balanced, right?
That's the way it falls, man. But we're happy to be here, and we'll be prepared at 1:30 on Wednesday.
Thank you, Coach. We look forward to seeing you down at Rupp.
All right, thank you.
Up next, we have Adair County, Region 5 champs, the Indians, Coach Darren Breeze, 30-5 this season. Since January 7th, only lost one game, and they'll be playing Region 4 Bowling Green, 11 a.m. on Wednesday. What can you tell us about your team, Coach?
Thanks for having me here. Like you said, we've been hot here since can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. We played pretty well here since the calendar flipped. Like I said, we've lost one game. We have 8 seniors and 1 junior who get the majority of our playing time. You know, most of these guys played last year, actually got a win in the state tournament, so we're looking forward to getting back. And, I think that experience will help us. We kind of know what to expect, the routine of when you get to Rupp Arena, when you're allowed on the floor and so forth. So we're looking forward to get going.
And talk about playing Bowling Green.
Bowling Green, it's kind of like, hold on a second, sorry. Bowling Green is kind of like St. X and J-Town almost, real close together. We're only about 45, 50 minutes apart. We did play once earlier in the season. I think we beat them by 4, but they were just coming fresh out of football. They didn't have all their football kids, and they won the football state title. And we were, like I said, we weren't playing real well earlier in the year. So I think both teams definitely playing their best now. Be quite a different game than it was earlier in the year. Coach Sherrill, he's a state champion coach. He's got a state champion coaching program, and he's going to have his guys prepared, and he knows what he's doing. Once he gets up there, he's won it all before. And I think the last 4 or 5 times Bowling Green's been there, they've won their first round game, and they haven't lost in the first round.
Talk a little bit about Connor Loy and what he means to your team.
He's a 6-year varsity starter. Led the state in assists according to Max Preps the last 2 years. I know everybody don't turn in assist numbers, but he handles the ball. He takes shots. One thing he did, as a sophomore, he averaged probably over 20 points, and then he kind of adjusted his game the last 2 years to getting everybody else involved more. And he can still score when he has to. So he's kind of our leader at the point guard position. Everything starts with him.
And you also have Isaiah Cochran, 16.6 points per game, and Dawson Gilbert, 12.1. What do they mean, and how do you make sure everybody gets involved and kind of balance like you did last year?
Isaiah, he's inside out. If he's kind of a mismatch, he can go inside or out, plays both ways. And Dawson's one of the better shooters that'll be in this tournament. He shot it well last year at Rupp Arena, so hopefully he does the same this year. Getting everybody involved, that's kind of what we said. I don't really go in and saying, all right, this guy's got to get, 20 shots this game or 15 shots this game. That's, I'm not really worried about that. They're just going to have to get it however it fits in. Some games you might get 8, 9 shot attempts. Some games you might get 16. It just depends what the other team tries to take away and what's theirs for us on that afternoon.
And who are some of the other players you need to see to feel comfortable about things bouncing well for you down at Rupp Arena?
Especially the first game, Brayton Coomer, I think, is one that's really got to step up. He didn't, again, that was early in the year. He didn't have his best game against Bowling Green. He's our inside guy, about 6'6". He had a real good state tournament last year, and he's been playing very well here lately. He was one of our better players in the regional tournament. If we can get some production out of him, I think he only had 4 points and like 2 rebounds against Bowling Green first time. If we can get him close to a double-double this time, I think that'll help out a lot. And then all my other guys, it just depends on whose day it is. Like I said, who steps up that day. Lane Grant, he starts for us. And then you got Carter White, Blaine Barden, Solomon Stonebreaker, and Jaden Miller come off the bench. I think Stonebreaker actually started when we played Bowling Green earlier in the year. So, again, it's just, who gets in and who's playing good that day. And then, whatever they do that game, if we're lucky to advance, that don't have any reflection on the next game. And then same thing we've said all year. Just because you play good one night, it's your night, but next night we'll start back over, and who's playing good gets to play.
And, talk about this run. You kind of started with 3 losses between the first tip and January 2nd. And then really since then, February 11th, you had a setback to Warren Central. But really everything's kind of been clicking. How have you kept it together, and what do you need to see to keep it going?
I think early in the year we were, had everybody back, and everybody, wants to play fast and press, and we was trying to do things that we weren't capable of, and it ended up getting us a couple games. And it kind of made us learn, our best success is to go back kind of what we've had success with in the past and play last year. So that's kind of what we adjusted to going back to our style from last year. And then, like I said, here since January, most important, outside of the wins, it's just been last year we'd win a lot of games, but everything was close or we might be down and so forth. This year we've had a lot of games where we've kind of been up 10 or 12 points in the first quarter and been able to maintain. So it just kind of lets me know we've improved and matured as a team, just not winning games, but we've been able to win by the games we should win by double figures and so forth. We have taken care of business and not let them hang around, which obviously it's state tournament, that's not going to happen. If we're lucky enough to be in the game with Bowling Green in the fourth quarter, hopefully we can get a 1-point win.
And wins do a lot for the mentality of the team and the togetherness. But is there a loss that you can point to that really kind of helped maybe refocus your guys, reset your guys?
I think the first loss we had of the year, Cumberland County, like I said, they were a good team. And they exposed a lot of weaknesses that we had and just kind of showed us, just because we won the region last year, we're not overpowering where we're just good enough to show up and just overpower people and press them out of the gym and so forth and run people out. We're still a little undersized, and we're more of a system team and have to play into our system and our strengths. And I think that loss kind of showed us there at the start of the year that anybody could beat us.
Any media members have any questions? All right, Coach, any final comments about coming to the Sweet 16 for the second straight year?
No, I mean, we're looking forward to it. Like I said, we've got the first game of the tournament. We tip off first. And as soon as I get off this call, our bus is leaving and we're heading up a day early. We've been practicing since Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, which that's our time. And that's Coach Sherrill's time too, 10 our time. So 11 Eastern to get ready for it. And we'll get up in the morning and practice again and have breakfast early at 8:30 and try to get in our game routine. So we're ready to go Wednesday morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach. Look forward to seeing you at Rupp Arena.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next with us is Region 4 champ, Bowling Green Purples, Coach D.G. Sherrill. 28-6 this season, and you're playing Region 5, Adair County, 11 a.m. on Wednesday. What can you tell us about your team, Coach?
Well, we've got 6 seniors. They log most of our minutes. We've had really good balance scoring all season long. These guys have been together, 5 of the 6 since they were 5th, 6th graders, so they know each other pretty well. And I think it's just kind of the understanding how to play together and how to kind of get better all season long. We just kind of continue to improve. As Coach Bree said a minute ago, we won a football state championship, so I had to get a few of those guys off the football field, which made us start a little slow. But I've been here 20 years, and I'm used to starting slow. Our football team usually makes deep runs, and we share a lot of athletes with them. So that's nothing that's new to us. But we've just been a team I think has gotten better as the season has gone along. I think we've become less selfish as the season has come along. We really preach about ball movement. We've been led by scoring by 6 different guys this year. So it's really kind of what we feel like we can attack when we go against our opponent. What we're able to do to be successful is kind of how we played this year. We don't have a post guy. We start 5 guards, and first couple guys we bring off the bench are guards. And so we've got a team rebound, and we've got a team defend to be able to compete with good basketball teams. And we got a really good team right out of the gate this year. So ought to be a fun one.
And this season of the field, you've played, Adair County and Henderson County. Both were losses, but what did you learn out of them, and what does it help for your guys to also see them in the field of Sweet 16 to know where you guys are?
Well, as Coach said, as Coach Breathitt, I heard him say earlier, we played them really early in the year, and I don't think either one of us would go in that game and say we played well. I think they could play a lot better, and I think obviously we've played a lot better since then. And of course, Henderson lost late in the season, our last loss to this point. Quality team on the road. we try to schedule as good a teams as we can. A lot of people around us don't play, and so we go out of our region and we play in first through the fifth a lot. So we play a lot of teams out of region to try to challenge our guys and try to put them in tough environments. Kind of build some toughness in our guys to be able to handle whatever kind of comes our way. Obviously, Adair, I've known Coach Breeze a long time. I know what he has in quality of team. You take a team like Henderson County, who's another really quality team, well coached. So we get to see some teams that are at the quality of what we could potentially see this week, either first round if we're fortunate enough to go beyond that, than some of the quality teams we'd see after that.
And then talk about your seniors and Luke Idlet, 14.3 points per game. Joseph Hurt averages 14.2 for you guys. Braylon Banks at 12.7 and Jace Wardlow 11.5.
Yeah. So at one time this year, Luke was shooting over 60% from 3-point line. And so he's had a great year. He's just a tremendous perimeter shooter. Every time the ball leaves his hands, I think it's going in. And, he's had some huge nights for us. But he's became more of a complete player. He had 3 big steals in our regional championship game. And so had a couple of layups, just become a really complete player. And then you talk about Joe. Joe moved in this year from Fairdale. He had a tremendous career up there. Mom moved to our area, so we got lucky enough he came to us, and he's fit right in. I mean, he's given us a 6'3" guy that can handle the ball, play inside out. He can shoot the 3. He's good off the bounce. So those are some positive things he can do. Then you got Braylon Banks, who's been a 3-year starter for us. Just a hard-nosed kid that he can guard 1 through 5. Has 3-point range, good mid-range game, has become a much better defender this year, really plays hard. And then you've got Jace Wardlow. Jace's older brother, MJ, last year had 2 Wardlow boys, but Jace is really strong off the bounce, physically strong, good defender, also can shoot the 3. And then we've got, Deuce Bailey, who was the preseason #1 ranked player in our region, going to go play Division I quarterback. So he's had to balance a lot of football and basketball this year, but he's playing his best basketball now. As we kind of came to the end of this thing, he's really been a weapon for us. He can play any position, guard any position. And then I don't want to get away from here without talking about Caden Carpenter, who's kind of our point guard. Caden he can shoot the ball and score, but he's a facilitator, team guy, probably our best man-on-man defender. And our rah-rah guy, he holds them all together and just really great locker room kid. And so, just really excited for this group to be able to get to this point. We've knocked on the door the last couple of years. Thought we had the best team last year, just didn't finish the game. The year before that, when Central wins it all, we had a 3 go out the buzzer in overtime that rimmed in and out that would have won the game for us. So we've been right there knocking on the door. And for this group to get over that hump and get back to Lexington, I'm just really proud of them and proud to be taking them up there. So it's a great group of young men.
Coach, you talked about the 6 guys that I kind of had on my list, and I'm sure are on other people's lists, but who are some of those bit players that you're going to need to see step up?
Well, we got a sophomore, Orlando Davis, who's come in and been a good player for us in big moments. He's had some 6-8 point nights, but he does a lot of other things, can shoot the 3, a really good defender. We've told him when he first started playing this year as a sophomore, we're like, he wouldn't shoot the ball. We're like, listen, man, you got to be shot ready. The way the ball is going to hit your hands and it's a game shot, just let that thing fly and you'll build up confidence as it goes. And then, one football kid that, I teased him early in the year. I could put him in the gym by himself. He couldn't score 10 points, but he's really come on lately. And Ethan Kirkwood, another big body that we can throw out there, and he'll be physical and he rebounds and he plays really hard. And then we got another sophomore, Embry Dotson, and a junior, Christian Muhar, that both come in and give us some minutes. Both of them good defenders. Both of them play really hard. Got good size, capable scorers. Embry's a capable 3-point shooter. And those guys have gotten some minutes. The unfortunate side about some of those guys is because when you got these 6 seniors that have all played a lot and are good players, they seem to be like sponges, just absorbing a lot of minutes. But we have been able to get some good contributions, and we needed it last week in that finals. I think everybody on our team had 4 fouls, and so we had to use Kirkwood, we had to use Muhar, we had to use Orlando, and they came in big moments and helped us get over the hump in that game.
And Coach, with a program that's had success, in the Sweet 16 and then had a stretch of not being down here, how do you keep those guys just in the moment, and enjoying the experience and not getting so pressured and losing focus and just staying in the game?
Well, I do think that the amount of time we've had off this year in between games, the stretches we've had has kind of tried to, I don't know from other coaches' perspective, I'd be curious to know, but has helped us probably lower the temperature a little bit between games and be able to get our guys really focused. You shorten practices, you don't practice for as long, you be more intentional about the work you're doing when you're in there. Every day I go to practice. Now it's complete practices, but for a while, offense today, defense tomorrow, OB unders, press break, press defense another day, just trying to break up what I'm doing so that the guys that first don't get bored. And two, we can still have good focus because we're doing things that are intentional about the game and we're talking about the opponent in front of us. And so you do that. And then you just talk about, I said to them after our game the other day, listen, guys, there's 16 teams going to the state tournament. If your last game's in Rupp Arena, you had a heck of a season. So now we're going to go and try to be the best version of ourselves. If we play one game or if we're able to play a few games up there, we've been blessed to get through that first round a few times. But just like when we enter postseason play, we don't take any game lightly, and we take everybody in front of us pretty serious. And like I say, I think we've got as good a first round opponent as anybody in the tournament's going to have.
And Coach, any final comments about making a trip back to Sweet 16?
Just excited for our guys. We've been to a bunch of finals and not gotten through, and we've got to a bunch of finals and gotten through, and being able to be an older coach and old guy that's been up there a few times, I know what it's going to mean to our kids. I know what the experience means. It's the greatest high school basketball tournament in the state. In the country. There's no question. And so just excited for this opportunity, and it never gets old. So we're really excited to be a part of this thing.
Actually, one more. You kind of mentioned it, rest versus rust. Have you stayed sharp and also rested? I think you kind of touched on that, but just this year is unique.
Yes, it is. It is a unique year, but the thing about it is, and I've had a few people complain about it, I'm like, well, we're all experiencing it. So it's fair for all of us. We're all having these different things we're going through, but again, I think you break it up into small doses in practice. I think we even turned the clock on one day and put purple gold and played a full game and just had a game. Went my two assistants, top assistants, coached the game, and we officiated like a real big game and just did game-like simulation. You do a lot of specialty things like so many seconds on the clock, down one, down two. You do a lot of those kind of things to keep the mood light. And you go out to eat a lot. You spend a lot of time together. I had the team over to my house yesterday to watch basketball games, and this is a time that it's really unique that I feel like we've gotten a lot closer over the last few weeks. It's more intentional work you're doing, and it's just you get to know these kids a little bit differently maybe you knew them before, especially some of the younger guys. You spend a lot more time with them, and so it's a rare opportunity. And I think all of us as coaches would say that it's a lot of fun to be with our guys and do what we love and do it on the stage we get to do it on here this week.
Thank you so much, Coach, and I look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Up next with us is Region 3 champion, Davis County Panthers. Coach Neil Hayden. 25-6 this year are the Panthers, and they will play 11th Region champ Great Crossing at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Coach, what can you tell us about your team?
Yeah, give you a little bit of background. Like you said, we're 25-6 in our regular season. We shot 51.4% from the field, which ranks us 13th in the state. We were 38% from three. We were 80% from the free throw line, which puts us number one in the state. Some individual stat things. We have Joe Varble, a senior for us, that ranks 38th in the state in field goal percentage at nearly 63%. Jonathan Moss was 12th in the state, a junior point guard for us at 86.9% from the free throw line. And we had two others, seniors, Jackson Brown and Aiden Ayer, who averaged 91% from the free throw line. De'Aaron Watkins is a forward junior for us that ranks 24th in the state in rebounding at 10.5 per game. The 68.3 points per game that we average puts us around 47th in the state in scoring. We were 33rd in the state in team margin leaders. We averaged each win by 12.5 points per game. So that's some stats, but we've got 3 seniors on our team, 2 juniors that start, and Jonathan Moss and De'Aaron Watkins. And it's been a good group. We feel like we've been knocking on the door the last couple of years, and able to get through in the 3rd region means a lot to our school.
And talk about, you had a stretch there from sort of December 7th through February 8th. So roughly a 2-month stretch where, you know, most of your losses came. What did you learn in that stretch from your team? And then, you know, kind of how you guys responded and made the run down the stretch to be here.
Sure. Yeah. You know, we tried to go out and find as many good opponents as we could all the way back to our summer program. And we had some bumps along the road with Taylor County against a really good male team in December. And then we lost a couple of tight overtime games, one in a double overtime game with a district opponent, another triple overtime last second shot to the Grayson County, who we saw in the regional final. I think for us, we know some common things about us fouling. So we had to really talk about being intentional about not fouling. We had to make sure that we were really good in certain situations with the basketball. But for anything, honestly, I like the fact that it challenged our guys and had to learn how to play in situations.
Talk about, you do have a lot of close wins or, you know, maybe narrow setbacks, and what that does for your team as far as the pressure pack Sweet 16 and knowing how to play when you're maybe down a basket or two and the clock is short, or up a basket or two.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of our guys know the better teams you play, you know, the margin of error isn't very big. So you want guys to be challenged. Honestly, it keeps their interest and keeps them motivated for practice, gives us something to make sure we could get to on film and know that there's areas of growth. Probably even check our egos a little bit after winning several games in a row. So for us, just to know that we've got to make sure that we're valuing ball, rebounding, not fouling.
Jared Peck with a question.
Coach, how are you approaching dealing with Malachi Marino and Dawson? Marino's a little taller than some of the opponents you've had.
Yeah. You know, yeah, he's a different guy, obviously. We know we're going to have to be physical. We're going to find a point of contact with him. You know, like with anybody, we kind of play a spread type of offense against man or zone. So we know we're going to have to make guys move. Our style of play is based on that. You're going to have to find him in transition. They are really they're exceptionally good in transition, rebounding and running. And he's a phenomenal athlete. So he gets out on the break as well as anybody and knows where to run. You know, there's seen many plays of them just getting rebounds and thrown ahead and him catching it for a dunk. So you're going to have to find him. You know, he's one of the best in the state, and he's Mr. Basketball, one of the best in the nation. So he creates a problem that we're going to have to make sure that we know where he is at all times on offense and defense.
Talk a little about, you do have one opponent that's in the field that you played this year, Henderson County. You won that one game. What does that help your team as far as knowing that they can compete at the Sweet 16 and knowing, you know, at least one other opponent?
Yeah. You know, like I said, even back to last summer, we went out and played, whether it be at Collins. We won the team camp at Western Kentucky University, where we saw some big-time teams, not just from Kentucky, but some out of state. Even back to last season, like we've gone and played. Like we played Newport the second and third game in the season. Like I said, we saw Mel. You know, we traditionally play Henderson. We've gone out and played as much as our schedule and geography has allowed us to play. Our guys are basketball players. They're ready to play. And it wouldn't have mattered which region we drew. They would be excited to play.
Any other questions from the media? Coach, talk about one game this season that might have been where you felt like you had, or a stretch in the season where you had a special group that would be making this run.
I don't know if there's a single moment. I've known for a while what kind of talent we have. And like I said, even back to last season, we were disappointed that we didn't make a trip to the state tournament a year ago. You know, even back to the summer when we won the WKU team camp, Like we knew we could be in situations and play against really good teams. Even the male game, we ended up losing by 17, but it was, I believe it was a 2-point game with 3 minutes to go. Some of that was we started fouling and we played to the final buzzer. Even the Newport game, we had a shot to tie this in that game into overtime. And I think at that point they were ranked second in the state. Our guys have gone out and played, not just at the high school level, but even on the travel circuit. Our guys are used to playing against people. So even, like you said, beating Henderson first game of the season meant a lot. We knew they would be a regional favorite. And so to win that game was important. But, for us, I don't know that I've identified any certain moment. Like we have confidence in who we are. And so just kind of trying to find ways to keep building on that throughout the season has been important to me.
And you kind of mentioned it, you've been knocking on the door of winning the region last couple of years, and how important and how exciting it is to win a region championship, but then trying to, calm that down and then reset and refocus for, a run at the Sweet 16.
Yeah, especially I know Coach Cheryl was talking about this, having that, it's been a lot of excitement, a lot of emotions, not just for the players on the roster, but for past players, our principal, former coaches that have come around. It's been an emotional ride the last few weeks, and now we've had this layoff where you've kind of had to emotionally kind of recharge yourself and reset. But this means a lot to our program, and it means a lot to our kids on this roster and even former players.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you down at Rupp Arena.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Up next with us is their second region champion, Henderson County Colonels, Coach Tyler Smithhart, 25-6 this season. They'll be playing Region 9 Cooper, 8:30 p.m. on Thursday. Tell us about your team, Coach. Coach may not be with us just yet. Against the field, they are 1-1. They lost to Davis County, and then they beat Bowling Green. This will be the first time the Colonels will face Cooper. And they have a trio of seniors, Cooper Davenport, McKinney, and Suggs, who kind of lead the way for them, along with the help of Dwayne Moss and Xavier Johnson. We'll give Coach a little bit of time to hop on here with us. Again, we did get a little bit ahead of schedule and have some messages into Coach Smithhart, trying to get him on here to talk to us a little bit. Again, they are the Region 2 champions, 25-6 this season. They will play Cooper. Straight out of the gate, they played Davis County in a 50-48 loss at Davis County. And then they lost to Frederick Douglass on their third game of the season. Out of state loss to Evansville North. And then they kind of went on a stretch there where they only had 3 losses the remaining stretch of the season. They beat Bowling Green on February 17th, 63-57 for the other team inside the field this year. Had an overtime win in the region semifinal game against Lyon County, 59-55, and then beat Madisonville North Hopkins in the championship, 52-34. Have not played since Tuesday, March 18th. Again, we're waiting for Henderson County and Coach Tyler Smithhart to jump on with us. Coach Smithhart, if you jump on with us, just let me know. Give Coach Smithhart a few more minutes to jump on here. I do see Callaway County Coach Brad Cleaver is with us. Coach, we appreciate your patience, and as soon as we give Henderson County a few more minutes, and then we'll proceed on. One final check for Henderson County coach Tyler Smithhart. Just a reminder, the Colonels are 25-6 this season, and they will be playing Cooper at the 8:30 p.m. game Thursday. We will now move on to Region 1 champ, Callaway County. The Lakers are coached by Brad Cleaver, 31-3 this season, and 2 of those 3 were in a stretch from January 14th to 24th. So had a very good season, and talk a little bit about it, Coach.
It's been a fun season. You know,
Coach, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Says I'm unmuted.
I can hear.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear him.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Coach, try it again.
How about now?
No, we can't hear you.
I can hear you, Coach.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure. Is there a call-in number? I've gotten a couple text messages saying that some people can hear me on the call.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
I cannot hear you. Will, I don't think I can hear you either. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can.
I am not hearing anybody. Can you guys hear each other?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jenny,
Well, it
we
might
can
be me.
we can
Connor
hear them.
Link,
We
can
can go
you
ahead.
jump in here?
Yeah, we can hear him, Jenny. Why don't we go ahead, Coach?
Okay, you may go ahead.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay. No, it's been a great season. You know, a season that's full of veterans that have been playing together. Some of these kiddos have been playing together since second grade and on, and you know, it's been a really fun season. Obviously, we've had a nice record. Being 2A state champions was really fun. We've got to play in the Lexington Catholics Christmas tournament, which is obviously a really great tournament as well. So, I think we've played 6 of the teams that are in this Sweet 16, and our guys are battle tested, and we've had a very tough schedule over the past 4 years for them in preparations for being able to be this great opportunity to play in the Sweet 16.
Coach, it's been 2.5 weeks since that region championship. What have you guys been doing to kind of stay fresh for this tournament?
That's something that we really put a big focus on. Obviously, there are a lot of teams that had to wait 17 days before they have to play. Conditioning was something that was very important to us, and being able to really try to recreate the adrenaline that you get from playing, the physicality that comes along with playing in-game action that a lot of times is hard to recreate in practice.
So we've done our best to be able to try to, mimic that as much as possible. So our guys have had to revert back to a little preseason conditioning, which I'm not sure they love so much, but they're so excited to be a part of this and feel like they've been building up to this for quite some time. So they're very, very, very excited to come and compete.
Coach, you play Ashland Blazer. I can hear you guys now. You play Ashland Blazer 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Talk a little bit about that matchup.
I know quite a bit about Ashland. So I played at Morehead State, which is not far from Ashland. And so assistant coach Wayne Breeden at the time had taken Ashland to the state tournament. Before he's a historical coach there at Ashland. I'm pretty good friends with the staff at Ashland. We went 4 years ago while my seniors were freshmen, and we went and played the Ashland Invitational Tournament, which was a phenomenal tournament. Obviously, Xander Carter, he leads the Tomcats, one heck of a basketball player, surrounded by guys who can really, really shoot the basketball, and they're a really good team. We know they want to play fast. They want to get a shot up from, within 7 to 10 seconds, and we know that, and you got to be ready to get back on defense or they'll score before you turn around. And so they're very high paced, high powered offense, led by a Liberty signee and Xander Carter, who I think is obviously a top player in the state.
And also talk about, you got Jonah Butler, Eli Finley, and Connor Lockhart, who people might know about, and then a sophomore in Luke Armstrong, and just kind of what those four guys bring to your team.
Yeah, I'll start out with Jonah. I believe Jonah Butler is one of the top few players in the state as well. Being here in Western Kentucky, you don't always get the same type of publicity that you may get in other parts of the state, but I think Jonah has definitely gotten the publicity this year, and people starting to really see, this kid can go and he can do so many different things on the basketball court. He and Xander are very similar in some of the things that they do as well, so that's going to be a very good matchup to watch. Eli Finley is just an outstanding, scoring point guard. So again, I feel like it's been an underrated point guard throughout the state this year. And he's our all-time leading scorer at our school. It can really fill it up. And then Connor Lockhart he's just a stone cold sniper. He can really, really, really shoot the basketball, and he brings a lot of toughness to our team. That means a lot to us. And we missed him from a knee injury early on. So he's only played 12 games this year. So actually, when you talk about the delays really kind of helped with him being able to get him closer to 100%, where we feel like he is right now. And surrounded by, a sophomore in Luke Armstrong, a 6'6", with about a 6'9" wingspan is always nice to have. And so he doesn't play like a sophomore anymore. And so I don't treat him like one either. So he's really become a defensive stopper for us and really big on the boards and Cole Lockhart and Stephen Lane as well. Round out that senior class that's been together for so long. And Stephen, is shooting a three at almost 50% from the field right now. And Cole Lockhart's he's just an integral piece. These kids have been together so long. My goal too is to just kind of stay out of their way and don't overthink it, with so much time, and you've got March Madness going on and being right in the middle of it, and you're seeing all these great plays happen on TV. And my coaches had to tell me, no, we're not putting anything else in. And so I have a feeling other coaches are going through the same thing, but it's been a very exciting time, and it's been very fun and prepping. And I couldn't want to go to battle with any other group of guys than what I have. I think they're battle tested, and I think they're ready to play.
Talk a little bit about, you say these freshmen or now they're seniors, going down and playing at Ashland Blazer, December 28th, 2022. What did they learn from that experience? And, a program that had, is perennial in the Sweet 16, and now a team you're at least get to be feeling somewhat familiar with.
Well, they learned real quick that Colin Porter was pretty dang good, and I think he's proven that in the NCAA tournament as well. So going against a point guard like Colin Porter, and they had a loaded group when we went there as well, and just very well coached. And I think that was great for our guys to get that experience to play against a team that was a veteran team at the time with Cole Villers as well. That's getting to feel that intensity and getting to face that again. It's just part of the process that I've told our guys. All the challenges that we've been through, we haven't shied away from anybody. I don't schedule 20 wins. That's not something I've never done here, and I do that for our guys to hopefully be in preparation for what we're getting ready to face here this week.
Well, with question.
Yeah, Coach, you talked a lot about, a lot of different guys there. I was there for the game where, Jonah Eli scored 40 apiece. So, how I feel like in the postseason, it's kind of been more of, unit win. So are you kind of seeing that on the other end? How are you feeling, having that, going into the tournament?
I mean, it's obviously great, to be able to have, a high-powered offense and guys that can really get you 40 on any given night. And, we feel that, that's not the staple of who we are, though. The staple who we've become is defensively. And you look at our numbers defensively, especially over our last 15 games, I think we've really shown, what we're able to do on the defensive end. And that's become our identity. And that's not always easy to do when you have the high caliber scores, that we have, but we've been able to do that, and that's our guys have really embraced that. It's been exciting to watch them embrace that, and in fact, it's really, I think, brought us more together as a unit, as one team, because they're all fighting for each other on the defensive end, and that's where it really matters.
Talk about one game, maybe a win or maybe a loss, that you felt like your team learned the most about who they were, and you knew you had a group that was ready to come to Sweet 16.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, it's pretty easy to talk about, and I'll talk about, it's when Marshall County came into our place early on in the year, and I can't put lipstick on it. They really kicked our tail, and they kicked it good for us, and and I think that was a turning point for us in the season. And I always had leverage on the guys from that point on as well. So no matter what wins we had, we had that, but we changed as a unit that night. And being able to move on from that, and then that the outcome was different the next three times that we met in three different venues. And so I knew at that point our guys had the ability that something special could be brewing here with the Lakers. We beat them on their home court, we beat them on our home court, and then we beat them in a neutral area and in the regional tournament. The unique thing about our schedule that I thought was pretty cool was we were able to beat everybody on our schedule. So we took a loss against LaRue County, and we were able to face them again in the 2A, which is kind of ironic. You don't always get that chance. But that was something that I thought was unique about our schedule. Was you look at our schedule, we did beat every single team that we played. Even the three teams we took a loss to, we got to, avenge those losses. And I thought that said a lot about our guys as well.
Now, offensively or defensively, what do you need to see out of the gate in game one from your team to know that they feel comfortable on the floor at Rupp?
I think obviously, you're going to have nerves. I mean, Ashland may not have nerves; they're there every year. So, I mean, they that might be a second home to them. But I know this. I know when you're fighting hard on defense and you're worried about the defensive end and getting rebounds and getting stops, that does a lot to take care of the nerves. The offensive end will really kind of take care of itself. So, defensively, you got to be really, really dialed in and bring that intensity and turn that energy into a positive energy on the defensive end of the floor, and I feel like the offensive end will take care of itself.
Any final questions for Coach? Appreciate your patience through it all, Coach, and we look forward to seeing you down at Rupp.
Absolutely. We look forward to being there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last try to see if Henderson County and Coach Smithhart has joined us. If not, I think I will go ahead and we will conclude this press conference, and we appreciate everybody attending. Thank you.